or you won't have yogurt at the end of it. So there's milk powder, as you can see, but the KCC one is the best. Although it's on the higher side, but it's the best. So we've added sugar, we've added milk powder. So we are waiting for it to boil. As we are waiting for it to boil, everything that I've given you, you can also make mala. You know mala? But now you'll use culture for mala. And you buy also a packet of mala. If you're using culture, don't use the yogurt. So you only use yogurt if you don't have culture. So as it is boiling, there are so many ways of making yogurt. As this one is boiling, you can use pepper, pili. You can take 2 or 3, boil a glass of milk, cool it. You can always test on the palm of your hand. If it is not hot, you put in the pili. Pili has to have that stick, that stick at the end. It has to have that. So when it cools, you put in your chili and you cover it with, I normally use cling. Cling foil. You know, it's cling film. Yeah, it's film. Thank you. It's cling film. So I put it overnight so that you can also use to make your yogurt. It is like culture. Okay, I don't know how to explain. It's a substitute for culture and the vanilla. Okay, so if you're using it, you don't use culture or you don't use vanilla. You can also use lemon. Wash the lemon, don't remove anything. Cut the lemon, not into half. It's like you're making a hole. So after you've boiled your milk, it has cooled, you put the lemon where you've cut. The cut side you put facing the milk, like you've dipped it inside the milk, but the cut part is inside, yeah? Then you cover it overnight. That is also another way of getting your culture. A glass of milk. So it's a glass of milk in pepper, a glass of milk in lemon. So maybe as it's boiling, maybe we have questions. As it's boiling. As the milk is boiling, maybe we have questions. Pardon? Fresh pepper. Fresh. Because it has to have the red or green is okay. But it's pepper.
asking if we are going to put the paper, the whole, or we cut it.
No, you don't cut it. I've said you put the hole. And the car, is it called the branch? The car stalk, yeah. It has to be there.
Ask the same question. I just wanted to know if you dip it whole or you cut it, because if it is cut, then it will be very hot. What
No,
is
you
the
don't cut
effect?
it.
Yes, I've had
Don't cut the nini. The only thing you're cutting is lemon, and you don't cut it into half. It's like you're making a hole in the lemon. So the place, yeah, you cut it deep. So the area that you've cut is what you put inside the milk. After you've boiled the milk should be 1 glass. So after you cut the lemon, it's only lemon you're cutting. After you've cut the lemon and put it in the milk, cover it with cling film overnight. So you can use it. If you use it, don't use culture and don't use yogurt.
Praise God. I'm happy,
Yes,
Joe.
in the morning you have to remove the lemon and the pepper.
Okay, my question is, you say we make a hole in the lemon. Is it cutting into half or just pricking a hole through?
Make
Through.
not through. I've said you don't cut it into half. So if you're making a hole, you don't cut it through. Just make a deep cut. Just a cut. Don't cut the lemon into half. Just make a cut.
Praise the
This
Lord.
is your lemon. Let's assume this is the lemon, yeah? So if this is the lemon, just make a hole. Not from the end to the end. It's just a hole, just a cut. For the milk to suck the juice. Just a small cut. So if I've cut this area, this is the area that I'm going to dip inside the milk overnight. Okay? Pepper, don't cut. So in the morning, you'll have to remove your lemon because now you have your culture. You'll remove the lemon and you'll remove the pepper. So that is what you'll use to make yogurt.
Praise God. My question is, you mentioned that if you put pepper, you should not put
Pardon?
a flavor.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. You mentioned if you put pepper, then you don't also put flavor. So in the end, which flavor?
No, I've not said if you put, I've not said if you make the pepper culture, you don't put the
Flavor.
vanilla, no. Vanilla is just, it's you to decide the flavor you want. If you want to take your yogurt like that, it's okay. Because natural also does not have any flavor. So when it comes to flavor, it is you to decide what flavor you want. Thank you.
Praise the Lord. I want to know, how do you measure the quality of the milk you are using? How much water is supposed to be inside, or
Which milk?
the milk you are boiling? The quality of it.
The quality.
Yeah.
I've said it's fresh milk from the cow.
Sometimes you find the ones that have added a lot of water in it.
Then that is too bad.
So how will you know? Is there a way you can measure?
That I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Look for a genuine supplier. No, I've not said we boil water. The water I'm going to use to cool the milk after boiling. Yeah.
Excuse me, madam. When you talk of fresh milk, if I get the fresh milk from the market in a bottle, is it okay?
Yeah. Thank you. So long as it's fresh. And that bottle has to be clean.
Praise God.
Hallelujah.
After you have prepared your milk and the lemon, do you use the whole glass?
It will depend. Like for 2 liters, you can use half the glass and keep half. Yeah. That is better because it's natural. It's not like culture. Yeah.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord. Now, you've given us all the instructions, but you didn't give us the hours.
Pardon?
The duration, the period it's supposed to take while it's coagulating.
Duration. Duration of?
You know, the milk while it is still fermenting.
It has
how
to boil.
No, fermenting. You know, when you're baking a cake, you need like 30 minutes. Now, when you're making
I
yogurt,
can't hear your question.
I'm asking.
Remove the mask so that we can hear you.
I'm asking. When you're waiting for the milk, the yogurt to form, how many minutes, how many hours do you need?
When I'm
That's
waiting
what
for
I'm
the yogurt
to
to be a yogurt,
yes.
I've not reached there.
Praise the Lord. I also have a question. When you are doing your culture, do I boil the milk and keep it ready to stay overnight, or I do the culture first and boil the milk the following day when the culture is ready?
Boil your milk the following day when the culture is ready. You must always have your culture ready.
Okay,
So this-
Scholastica,
Yeah.
you've given us 3 methods. One is the culture, the second one is the chili, the third one is the lemon, and which is the fourth one?
The fourth one is natural yogurt.
So we have 4 methods of
Yes.
making our yogurt.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
She has to steer it so that it gives us an end product that is good. Because if you don't steer, the milk, the ingredients we've put in will be lumpy. We've put in the milk powder, yeah? So she has to steer for us to get a good texture.
Excuse me, please. I want you to clarify on the amount of lemon. The amount of the lemon you soaked in the milk that you use per liter of milk, because you said 2 liters, half a glass. How about 1 liter? If you want to make 1 liter of yogurt.
You want to make 1 liter of yogurt?
Yeah.
Okay, let me first put this. As women, we cook in the kitchen. Yeah? So you'll know the amount. If it is half the glass, you put in 2 liters, surely. See, it's all half of it. It's a quarter.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I've been told to go over the process again. So I'll take it very slow now. Requirements of making yogurt. I'll do 1 liter. For you to multiply the 1 liter by whatever liter you want to bake. I hope you are clear until there. I'm going to give you 1 liter. So the 1 liter that I'm going to give you, you multiply by whatever liter you want to make. Okay? So requirements for 1 liter. You'll need 1 liter of milk. It has to be fresh milk from the cow. Whatever container you're going to use to get that milk, it has to be clean. Okay? Then we'll need the normal sugar. The sugar is going to be 3 tablespoons of sugar, 2 tablespoons of powdered milk. The best powder milk is KCC, but you can use any. You'll need a pinch of culture. If you don't have a pinch of culture, you can go to the supermarket and buy yogurt. You'll buy yogurt. Natural yogurt is the best, because at the end of making your yogurt, you'll determine, it is you to determine what flavor you want. Okay? You can buy natural yogurt, it's the best. Then at the end of it, that is when you'll decide which flavor you want. The flavor, it's a drop. It's either vanilla, strawberry, there's mango. The flavors are range, there are many. So it's you to decide. There's banana, so it's you to decide. The flavors normally are used in cake. Yeah, so there's vanilla, strawberry, chocolate, banana, whichever flavor you want. Then, in the place of culture, I've said there are other two. We've talked about culture, we've talked about the yogurt, the natural yogurt, and there is lemon that you have to cut the hole in the lemon. First, you boil a glass of milk. When the milk has cooled, you test it with the palm of your hand. When it has cooled, you put in the milk, you put in the lemon, the cut side inside the milk. Cover it with cling film overnight. The next day, you want to make your yogurt, you remove the lemon. So you boil your milk, whatever procedure we are doing here. When you are going to use culture, that is when you'll use that milk, because now it is culture, but in lemon form. The fourth one is pepper, pili-pili. The pepper has to be fresh. Don't cut the pepper. Don't cut the pepper. It can be green, it can be red. Don't cut it. Boil the glass of milk, let it cool, put in the pepper. Okay? Then you cover it with cling film, leave it overnight. The next day, remove the pepper, so you can use it as culture. So the quantity of 1 liter, using the pepper or the lemon, you use half. Half of the culture that you've made, okay? Okay, now I'm going to take you through the benefits of yogurt as we wait. Okay, Deaconess is insisting, number one, you can sell and make money. Yes, you can sell and make money. Yeah. Number two, I'm going to give you the health-wise nutrition. Yogurt has calcium and vitamin B. And it's also said it has traces of minerals. The calcium is good for your teeth and bones. It also has vitamin B12. Good for It is good for us women, eh? The neural tubal birth defects in women. There's a way yogurt can assist. Our birth, is it the birth canal? There's a way that yogurt helps. The bacterial infections, it's called what? I'm forgetting the name. The itchiness that we always have in that area. There are some women who have itchiness in the area. There's a way, if you take yogurt, it helps. I'm just forgetting the name of the disease. Yes, candida, yes. So it helps. Yes. Yeah, fungal, yes. Thank you for helping. It helps in the prevention, okay, if you take the yogurt. Then we have the disorders like bloating, diarrhea, and constipation. It is said that yogurt has probiotics. It's like an antibiotic. So it helps. It doesn't cure, it helps. So don't say I've said it cures, it helps. So you should take a lot of yogurt. It also boosts the immune system. It helps in boosting the immune system. And since it has high protein in it, those who want to slim, maybe you can take yogurt because it fills you unashiba. So that day, maybe you can do yogurt alone in the morning or maybe in the evening, because it's in the evening that we are not supposed to eat our dinner, and we can only take yogurt and go to bed. No. At night.
She's saying if you want to cut weight.
If you want to cut. Yes.
Now, yogurt is supposed to be lactose free,
Yes.
but I come across some yogurts that you take and they still have lactose in it. What happens?
Okay. Number one, the milk we are using has lactose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So maybe the quantity of lactose is what we should talk about, because lactose is in the milk. But if you don't want to use the sugar or the milk powder, which is lactose, yeah, just use the pepper, the way I've told you, and lemon.
No, that is not the issue. By the time you finish the process of yogurt,
Yes.
it's supposed to be lactose free, even though you did it with milk that has lactose.
Yes.
That is, when you take yogurt, if you react to lactose, you are not supposed to feel bloated. But there are several yogurts I see in town that even though they call it yogurt, once you take it, you still have the bloating like you took ordinary milk. What happens, or what happened?
I think it's because the milk already has lactose.
No, the normal milk they use in doing yogurts has lactose. But by the time you go through the process and the fermentation and the culturing, it's supposed to be lactose free. Because well done yogurts, you don't have lactose effects. But when it is not well done, you take it and it's like you've taken milk and you start getting bloated. There are some yogurts like that. That means something went wrong. But the ones that are well done, this natural yogurt, no matter how you take it, you don't get bloated, you don't get gas in your stomach. So what is the difference between the ones that still has lactose and the ones that don't have lactose?
To say the truth, that I'm not sure.
Okay, please find
Yes.
out. Do the research.
I'll do that research.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now the milk has boiled, so we are going to cool it. We are going to cool it to 110 to 120. But yeah, we are cooling the milk in water. Yeah, you see what she's doing? It has to cool for us to now put the culture. You can't put it when it's hot. So all the cultures that you've made, you can't put in your milk when it's hot. It has to cool. So since we don't have thermometers, always use the palm of your hand. If it is too hot for the palm of your hand, it is not ready. Okay? It has to be warm. So just use the palm of your hand. So right from the meko, I put some cold water in the trough or basin so that it can cool for us to now put in the yogurt, to now put in the culture. But if you're at home and you're not in any hurry, you just leave it to cool. Pardon? After culture, it has to, now it cools. And it has to cool like for 12 to 20 hours. That's why I normally leave it to cool. After the culture, I leave it overnight. So that in the morning, it will have a very good texture. So in the morning is when now you'll put in your taste, flavor. And as you put in your flavor, you have to break the curd because it's going to be very thick. So you have to keep stirring it. You stir until it's very soft, the yogurt texture. Okay? Now it has cooled there, so I'm going to sieve it in the bucket. Then I leave it to cool. I'm going to sieve the milk in the bucket for it to cool. No, we are going to add before we add the culture, you have to sieve it in a bucket. We used some ingredients, so we have to make sure our yogurt is okay. Okay, so now you're going to put in the yogurt. After that, you leave it to cool. You can leave it to cool. Me, I normally do overnight, just to be sure.
Let's give a hand clap to Scholastica for that wonderful presentation. And our next presenter will be the career development by Elizabeth Ching. So I think she's ready. Give a hand clap for her as she comes.
Thank you so much. I am very, very, very nervous. We thank God. I'd like to say thank you, Mommy, for this opportunity, and it's a privilege and an honor, and I'm very, very grateful. All right, God is good. God is good. I'm coming from the back where everybody was not very alive, alert, awake. So that's why I want to try to encourage you. It's going to be very interactive and very, very exciting, all right? God is good all the time, and that is amen and amen. All right, just to introduce myself, my name is Elizabeth Acheng Aringo. I work in career development, outplacement, recruitment, basically human resources. I am not a human resource practitioner. We support human resources on the outside, all right? I work for a company known as Just Work. I work for an incredible woman by the name of Natalia Polishchuk, and I have for the last 1.5 years been learning from her. Good? Okay, exciting. So what is my presentation supposed to do for you? I just want to find out, is there anybody seeking employment? Anybody? Congratulations, amen. All right, is there anybody looking for a promotion at their place of work? Good girl, you're going to get it, amen. All right, all right. So what I'm planning to do is just to talk to you about the realities of getting a job in the post-COVID-19 era and beginning to understand how Kenya is changing, Africa is changing, and the world of work is changing, all right? I have a presentation. Dear teammates. All right, the presentation will come on. So the first thing I want to talk about is 20, 30 years ago, right? All right, 20, 30 years ago, if you worked in the same job and you were consistent, what words did they use to describe you? What words? If you worked in the same job every single day for 30, 20 years, what words did they use to describe you? Loyal, hardworking, consistent, the best. In 2020, today, if you have the exact same job for over 20, 30 years, what words do we use to describe you? Irrelevant, lack of innovation, old school, right? The world of work is changing. We're now going into a digital age, right? So for example, if you are in a process that is, you wake up, you file papers, you put it in your drawer, you're about to be replaced by a computer. Anywhere where you're working and your work is the same, it is consistent, there is a process now being developed that can replace you, all right? Another thing that has changed is a lot of our jobs are online. True or false? If you want a job, you can talk to your aunt, fantastic. But if you want to work for the most competitive organizations in Africa, in Kenya, you have to make an online application. And there's so many job boards today that actually control the job market. Have you heard of Fuzu? Have you heard of Brighter Monday? Have you heard of Just Work? All right? Have you heard of Glassdoor? Indeed.com? They have revolutionized how the job application process works, and it has put you at a huge disadvantage. Let me explain. What happens? A candidate will see a job from the street sweeper, I said I was nervous. From the street sweeper all the way to the CEO, they will see a job online. And there are professional Kenyans who sit at the cyber cafe, click, apply, send, click, apply, send. Was I qualified? I don't know. I just want a job. Na bahatisha, it is my luck, right? Now the problem is these systems, these computer systems have been set up in such a way that they're there to eliminate you if you don't use certain keywords in your profile. So you will never get the job even though you're the best candidate possible. Let me explain. As I told you, I work in recruitment. What does that mean? I am responsible. I am the person between you and your employer. I am a gatekeeper. You may be the best candidate, but I don't have time. I am looking at 500 applications any day for any competitive role. If you just say, I live in Rongai, I'll eliminate you because I'll be like, our office is in Westlands, you'll take too long. Yeah? You put a photograph on your resume, I'm like, is she really attractive? So it's human bias and against computer systems. So now, next slide, please. I just want to keep developing this point just a little bit and talk to you about the nature and the changing nature of work and why you're at a disadvantage. We're starting to see new industry, right? And what do I mean by new industry? Elizabeth, I work in the banking sector. I've been a faithful teller for the last 20 years. I'm very, very good at my job. That's fine. The problem is, a lot of us, how do we receive our money today? M-Pesa? It means there's technology coming in. And we're starting to see the number of tellers going down, but the number of UI, UX developers going up, the way we're interacting, right? So Elizabeth, will I lose my job just because I'm a teller? No. You need to reskill, you need to retool, you need to relearn. Whatever you already know, go and add something to it. Go and become more digital. My favorite example, this sweater I'm wearing. Okay, 5 years ago, how would I go about buying this sweater? Anybody? I would go to Gikomba, fantastic. I would go to the shop. Yeah? Where else would I go? I would go to Woolworths, we thank God. Where else would I go? All right? Today, 2020, COVID-19 has forced the Kenyan economy into a digital space. How do I buy the exact same sweater? Online, Instagram. So for example, the world is changing, and we are transforming how we work. If you have a shop, is it time to close your shop? No. It is time to reinvent your shop. You have to begin to appeal to an online audience. Why? In 5 years, I suspect you will be irrelevant, right? Does that make sense to everybody? All right. So what are some of the new, give me slide 2. What are some of the new types of careers we're seeing? Right? I'm seeing cryptocurrency. All right? Cryptocurrency, what is that? It means internet money. Do you think the internet is going away? Does that mean we'll continue to trade? So we're going to be working online, cryptocurrency, drones. How many of us have been to weddings? Everybody's using a drone now. So if I'm a photographer, what do I need to do? Learn how to use drones. We're starting to see the demand for drone pilots. We're starting to see the demand for drone repair, right? These are not impossible things for you to learn, but it's about incorporating anew, retooling yourself anew. Now, why is this important as you're looking for a job? I know you're looking and you're searching and you're wondering, because what happened during coronavirus? Some industries went out, some industries came up. Some industries went out, some industries came in. All right, I work in the hotel sector. There was no need for you at the front desk. You went out. But we started to see online tourism and online video. So we've seen new technology. Does that mean you can't do the same job? No. You just need to relearn how to do it. What does a business care about more than anything? Making money and profit. I love it. Thank you so much. Making money and profit. How many of you in here are business owners? Great. What do you hire for? Number one, somebody who can guarantee you profit. At the end of the month, you want to guarantee your numbers. Yeah? You want to guarantee that my business is sustainable. So, as an employee looking for work, what do you need to tell the business owner? You see, a lot of us go into the job market, I need a job, I'm desperate for a job. But you don't understand, the businesses also need you, but they need you to bring in value. For you to have a competitive salary, for you to be the best, right? You have to bring something in. If I'm going into a company and I'm asking for 300,000 Kenya shillings, I must be able to generate 3 million shillings worth of business every month, or guarantee value of at least 3 million, right? 10% of what I bring into the business. So, oh, I haven't gotten a promotion, I haven't done this. Should you be getting a promotion? All right, so we've talked about, we're going to start seeing driverless everything, driverless cars. Tesla is now inventing cars that drive themselves. Oh, Elizabeth, this is only happening in the UK. When Uber came into Kenya, Whether the drivers wanted it or not, did they adopt? Absolutely. All right, commercial drone industry, I've already talked about that. 3D printing is going to be huge, right? Why? Because as a business, do I want to build a huge factory, or can I get a small printer to do that for me? We keep saying, oh, there are no jobs, there are no jobs, there are no jobs. There are jobs, but not the jobs that you want. They're jobs that are driving this new economy and this new way of working. In my example of how do I buy a sweater, if I went to the shop, I needed somebody who knew how to present, how to do sales, how to talk. But when I'm online, what do I need? I need a photographer. I need a social media account manager. So you can't do the same thing and be like, oh, I can't get a job in 2020. It doesn't work. You have to think about new industry. All right. So looking at the Kenyan labor market, slide 3. The nature of the market is also changing. 60% of people entering the market are millennials. 44% of employees prefer to work from home than to work in offices. So we're going to start seeing extinct offices. All right? All right. So give me the next slide. All right? What are the Kenyan industries that are doing well? And what are the Kenyan industries that are not doing too well? Okay? Food, shelter, clothing. If you're in those industries to some degree, you're going to do well, all right? So we have what we call agri-tech. One of the largest companies right now that just got its 3rd round of funding is Twiga Foods. Who heard about that? 3.2 billion? Thank you. Oh, you're really informed. Okay, so what are they doing? It's agriculture. They're growing food, true, but they're using technology to deliver the food to you, all right? So if I'm a farmer, where do I need to be? I need to start updating my technical skills. That is the changing nature of work, all right? Prop tech, we live in houses, we work in offices, we go to church. But the way we're going to start incorporating property and technology. I don't want to touch a door when I come into a building. It's unhygienic. I don't want to work with a lot of people on site. They may be unwell, right? So we're going to start seeing less human beings, a lot more automation. This is not a UK, it's happening in, this is Africa. This is the Silicon Savannah, Nairobi, right? And you can start to see where there's energy in business. There's businesses where there's technology being incorporated, we're starting to see a lot more energy. Okay? All right, so those are the changing. So I'd like us to go to the slide that talks about the typical job seeker in Kenya. And so, give me another one. The typical job seeker in Kenya. All right? The typical job seeker has the same resume. They apply the exact same words, whether I am a secretary, a CEO, click, apply, attach, send. Cover letter, dear madam, consider me for this job. I need a job. Click, send, attach. Right? It doesn't work. You see, I would rather you send 10 high-quality applications in a year than to brag that you sent 1,000 applications that nobody read. All right? I would prefer that you research my company. I would prefer that you know what I do. I would prefer that you've studied my brand. And then when you're coming in, you're making a real contribution. So how am I going to change your job application strategy? Narrow it down. Instead of 1,000 companies, 10 strategic companies. They have to be similar. And how do you narrow down the company you need to work for? First, what are your personal goals? 1 year from today? 3 years from today? 5 years from today? I'd love a new car. I'd love a new house, right? Those are your personal goals. The second thing, what are my financial goals? Every time you accept money, it means you've accepted the same money in 5 years. When I was coming out of the university, one of the biggest mistakes I made, I accepted 20,000 Kenya shillings in my first job. You know what that means? It means when I go to negotiate myself in the next job, how do I justify that I was earning 20 and now I want to make 100? Every time you negotiate, you must have a clear goal in mind, right? Because every time you take money, you're talking about your next money for 5 years. So constantly be thinking, what are my financial goals? right? If I accept 50,000, it means I've accepted a certain amount in 5 years. Most companies will tend to only increase the salary between 25 and 30% for the next job, okay? And then what is my professional goal, right? Where do I want to be? What is my title? What is my status? What is my responsibility, right? So the first thing is to understand yourself. What is my personal goal? What is my financial goal? What is my professional goal? Are you still there? Okay, great. Now that you've done that, now it's to begin to narrow it down. What companies can give me such opportunities? All right? My strategy is changing, and I'm now starting to tell you how you're applying for your job. You see, you don't have to see a job advertised for you to apply for it. Safaricom has 11,600 employees. How many people have seen 11,600 job applications sent by Safaricom? Yeah? Bob Collymore, may he rest, he passed away about a year and a half ago. How many of you saw them advertise for his job? Right? So a job can be within an organization, but they're just not talking about it. What you see online is only 20%. The decision maker, the CEO, the strategy holder, the line manager, we know how we're hiring. We know the needs of the company 6 months from now, 1 year from now. If you're able to start a conversation with me and show me value and show me what you do, why wouldn't I want to hire you? If you can guarantee my business profit, if you can guarantee at the end of this year I'll have $100 million in my account, why would I not hire you? Does that make sense? So I'd like you to now structure a really good resume and a really good cover letter to a specific employer. Not everybody is your next job. We are Christians. We're not going to be working for tobacco companies. We're not going to be working. So make sure we're not going to be working for alcohol companies. So make sure it's also aligned. Remember what we talked about, your personal goals, your professional goals, and you're targeting a specific organization. You are building a portfolio as to why you're the best candidate for them. Now, people are asking, oh, Elizabeth, what if I don't have the right degree? There's some specific fields like medicine, engineering, and law where you are required to have those qualifications. But let me tell you the truth. I've been working in human resources for 1 year. I have a degree in construction and civil engineering. And for you to get a job, it's just proving that you know what you're doing. As long as you have some sort of qualification, a diploma, a certification, and your head, you're clever, you can do it, and you just have to communicate to me that you can do it. All right? Give me the next slide. All right. In this particular slide, I wanted to talk about different types of career people. Okay? Don't worry, I'm walking you through applying for a job, but I'm helping you understand how to position yourself and how to begin your own personal branding process. Okay? We're going through a job application. We're starting to shift our minds, and we're starting to think about it more strategically instead of reactionary and desperate and, oh my God, I need a job, click, apply, send, click, apply, send, click, apply, send. No, I want us to plan, I want us to think, and I want you to be in control. All right? So now, what is a career driver, what is a career passenger, and what is a career hitchhiker? A career driver is somebody who plans and strategizes for their career. It's somebody who's in control. It's not the winds have shifted and now I'm starting to shift all over the place. I hear everybody's getting an MBA. Guess what? It's time for me to go get an MBA. I saw my friend get a PhD. Guess what? It's time for me to get a PhD. Why? You see, you have to have your own vision for your own life. Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 2. Write it down. Write your own vision. Though it may tarry, it shall surely come to pass. Have your own. God has a plan for you, a purpose for you. Drive your own conversation. Don't compare. Don't be in a hurry. It is frustrating to be looking for a job. It does take a little bit of time. But if you do it consistently, you can actually land the best job for you, okay? All right. The career hitchhiker, you see a job, apply, send, go. You apply, you interview, you go, you're everywhere. You're frustrated. It's tiring. apply a strategy, all right? A career passenger is, if there's a job, great. If there's no job, great. I do something, great. If I don't think that's how we were designed to live. I prefer for you to have a plan in place, to have a vision in place, to have a goal in place. Because as much as you need the job, the companies need you as well. So you just have to align yourself with the right company's needs, and you will get the job. Next one. All right. So how do you begin to now create the perfect strategy? How do you begin to create the perfect resume? The resume is a document that actually talks to you, to the employer. It is my first interaction with you. All right? My company is hiring for a sales engineer. You send your resume, dear madam, I would like to apply to be a chef. Mismatch. It will take me, you may have something inside the document, but when I look at it at first glance, I can't see your value. So you need to present your value very well, all right? So the first thing, even in the opening introduction, it's not about your degree. It's not about you. That document is a love letter to me, right? That document is for me. Don't write it like you. I need a job. I need to be successful. I need money. Great. What about me? I need an efficient employee. I need a hard worker. I need somebody who understands MS Office. I need somebody who can use AutoCAD. I need somebody who can design Hootsuite. You see, the love letter is to me. Talk to me. What does my company need and what do you have? Right? So we're beginning to structure the perfect resume. In the introduction part, it's not about you. It's my baby. You can't say, you have to say nice things about my baby. You see, moms like to be told, oh, she's so beautiful. This is my company, right? When I am the leader of this company, I wake up 16 hours, 24 hours. I'm working on this company. Tell me, what do you like about our marketing? What do you like about what we do? What do you like about our social media? What do you like about our accounting? What have you heard? Why should you be part of the team? What value do you bring me? All right? The beginning of the resume is a love letter to me. Then the body of the resume comes along. And this is by really understanding yourself and beginning to sell yourself. Give me the next slide. All right? And this is one of the things I was trying to tell you. You are not qualifications and a degree. That is not what we buy as a business. We buy your knowledge. You're evolving. You're changing. You're learning. You're adopting. You're becoming better. You're becoming stronger. You're not a job title. Just because you've been a secretary doesn't mean you can't be head of customer success or head of customer service. Do you think a secretary cannot be in customer service? Do you think so? I think an administration person can serve very well in customer service, but you just have to rewrite the language within your resume. Tell me why. Hey, as a secretary, I was able to do 1, 2, 3, which I think in a customer line of business, I would be quite successful at. Does that make sense? So it's not about, I've always been in this position, I can only apply for this position. No. Right? I've been in, let's say I'm a HR person. What are the names for HR? I can be talent acquisition. I can be business development. I can be HR business partner. I can be part of HR people development strategy. I can be part of learning and development. I can be business management and business intelligent analytics, right? You're evolving, you're changing. So I'm not telling you to lie. I'm telling you to update, re-examine your skills, and present them differently. Present them to me. The love letter is to me. If you know a girl likes red roses, will you go and buy for her carnations? No, you buy red roses. Sawa sawa? All right. So now, the next slide, please. All right. So, does your career fit you? If it does, fantastic. Keep working at it. If it doesn't, readjust your resume and change it. Right? You are not stuck. You are not stuck. Sometimes we bind ourselves with certain words. What I want to try to give you today is the opportunity to reimagine what you can be. And you can be absolutely anything. As long as you're qualified, as long as you have knowledge, as long as you're willing to learn, and as long as you're hardworking, you can do it. Give me the next slide, please. All right. So, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this, and it's really important, and it's personal branding. Personal branding. When it comes to getting a job, in my experience, I've interviewed now 1,296 people successfully for jobs. And when we buy people, I am in the business of buying people, when we put somebody forward, what is it about them that we actually liked? You see, there are things that you tell us with your mouth, right? And then there are things that you tell us in your behavior. There are certain words that, the way you present yourself, the way you present your documents, some of you are not getting the job because on that day, your perfume was so strong, I was coughing so much, I couldn't actually hear what you were saying. Some of you are not getting the jobs, not because you don't deserve them, but because of poor presentation. Like, you came in, you were 5 minutes late, you are frazzled, you apologize, you sit down, and then we ask you, who are you? My name is Elizabeth. I am a mother of 7. I recently lost 5 kilos. I've been really hard working. So why personal branding? You have to begin to tell a story about yourself with your documents, even at your place of work. Have you ever noticed when there's a really, really good job? You know who I think could do this job? Jane. The job has not yet been released. The promotion has not yet been given. But what is it about her that makes them think that she'd be really, really good at this particular job? Personal branding. How you carry yourself, right? How you present your documents, right? It also depends a lot with the type of company we're in. If I'm a corporate, show up in a suit. If I'm in digital, become more relaxed. If you're in digital and you come in with a suit, I'll be like, you're not a good culture fit. There are the things that you do consciously and the things that you do unconsciously that form part of your brand. And you have to be consistent. If I went to your housekeeper, would she say you're kind? Would she say you're giving, you're funny? If I went to your gate man, would he use the same words? Now, if I went to your boss, would he use the same words? I want you to be consistent and authentic when you present your documents, when you present yourself, when you're coming in. Because as much as you need the job, I also need a really good employee in my company. All right? Give me the next one. Now we're going to talk about the actual document, and then my presentation will be done. Okay, so how does the document actually come about? The first thing is you can't just click apply, click apply, click apply. Why? We are using an algorithm to read your CV. Let me explain. When you send your resume to a computer system, it's not a human being who reads your CV. Remember what I was saying earlier? There's a lot of automation happening in the industry, even in Kenya. So we have softwares that read your CV. On the first day that I advertise a job, I will get between 50 on the lower end to about 100 applications per day on a job. I honestly cannot sit down and read 50 applications. So what do? I use an applicant tracking tool. I use an applicant system. And that system is coded, right? I'll put in, I want a project manager. My computer system will go in and then find the person with the word project manager repeated the most number of times in their CV, and then recommend that person as the best candidate for me. Have you understood that? I am using applicant tracking tools. So even though you are the best candidate, I will never see your resume. Why? You may have missed the key word that I needed. All right? So the first thing, before you develop your CV, I'd like you to take the job description. The job description is your question booklet. How many did the local KCSE exam, comprehension English section? Mr. Otieno went to the market. He bought 6 oranges. He rode a blue bicycle. Question 1, where did Mr. Otieno go? Comprehension English. The job description is a question. The company is telling you about themselves. Hey, this is about us. This is what we do. This is what type of person we're looking at. Your resume is the answer booklet. You write it aligned to the job description. You look for the key things that they're looking for. We need 5 years of marketing experience. Begin to demonstrate on your resume, I have 5 years of marketing experience. Even though you don't have it, quantify what you have. Because of my marketing, I was able to bring in over $5 million last quarter for my company. Show your value. Position that value. The job description, that is the cheat sheet. That is the comprehension exam. We're asking you, we're telling you what we're looking for. Your CV must be aligned to that. So every time, before you begin to draft your CV, start to look at what are they asking for. Don't just take your CV here. Take time, yeah? That's why we're moving from 1,000 applications to 10 strategic applications. All right? Any questions? All right, so now section 2. You about yourself. Sell yourself aligned to my job. Sell yourself aligned to my job, right? You see, let's say I'm a lawyer and I've been working in the FMCG sector to negotiate some of the accounts. But I'm seeing that the fintech, mobile money, is doing really well, and I'd like to jump. Now, what in your experience as a lawyer in an FMCG thinks that you can actually come into the fintech? What technology do you know? What technology is our banking using? And how can you help us negotiate better? What have been your positions? You have to qualify. Yes, I'm making this jump, but this is why it makes sense because of this experience. You have to align. It's a love letter. You're talking to me. I want to immediately see the value that you're bringing to me. Okay? All right, so we have the body. We've done the introduction. I have a sample resume that will be circulated to you at some point of the day, or it's being circulated, I don't know. But you will get it, or you can pick it up. I'll print a lot of them for you. And that is how I'd like you to structure your resume. Okay? So I'd like you to start with your name. Do not give irrelevant information. At the beginning of your resume, let's have your name at the top. Yeah? In bold. And have a consistent name. Jane Mukami Kamau Mwangi is Mukami Mwangi Wanjeri Beyonce. You have to have a consistent name. Keep one professional name. So I can actually know I'm talking to the same person. One of the things that we do now is we hire background checks. So we hire companies to go and look at your social media. God forbid we hire and we see some dangerous things when you come in. So have a consistent name so it's easier for us to track you down and to find out your background. We go back into your schools and we ask your teachers, hey, tell us about the students. Oh, Elizabeth, but I'm married. At least keep your first 2 names consistent. If you have always had the same corporate names, keep the exact same corporate name. Congratulations on the marriage, but your professional life should be professional, right? So it's easier for us to identify you. Make it formal with the government. Keep it consistent. Change all your social media. Keep your name clean, all right? The second thing, born in which year? Don't do that. I was born in 1965. The person looking at your CV was born in 1993. I'll see 1965 and I'll be like, oh my God, that's so old. Don't put information that eliminates you, right? Married with 6 children. My goodness, that's so much insurance. Don't put information that eliminates you, right? Just be straight to the point. Phone number, email address, LinkedIn account, done. Don't start to eliminate. Remember, this is the only document you and I are communicating through, okay? About section, talk to me about what you've done. Be very clear why you're a good fit in my company. Job experience, align your job experience to my business. So I was a baker and I made cakes, but I'm looking for a salesperson. You can say, I have experience in the food and beverage industry, sales. You see, you've aligned. Yeah, you made cakes, true, but you also sold the cakes. I prefer your selling experience over your baking experience. Reflect what I need. All right. The last part, and I'm done, your referees. It is illegal to share people's phone numbers, email contacts in your resume. I don't know why you do it. There is a law, it's the GDPR, it's coming in from Europe, about protections on people's private information. You have no right to share my phone number and my email on your resume. I see some of you put even 5 referees, head of Absa Bank, head of Safaricom, head of Standard Chartered. For me, as somebody who's always looking to recruit, I will leave you alone and I'll be like, the boss is even a better fit. Let me call this other guy. I will leave you behind. Some recruiters are so, they don't even, like, okay, as a candidate, you have a junior experience, and let's say my budget is about $4,000. You have a junior experience, you're currently earning 250,000 shillings, my budget is $4,000. I'm sure your boss is better than you. So you might have applied for for the job, but you've just opened the door for your boss, because I won't even bother with you. I'll just go to your manager, because I know he's a better fit for the role. Don't share people's phone numbers and details until after the interview. It is illegal, first of all, and second, it can serve to eliminate you. Can you guys see how I've gone through the CV document in part? I've started with have a clean name, remove any information that eliminates you. Just put your email address and phone number. Put why you're applying for the job, all right? And then put in your core competencies and your core skills, and then write in what it is that you do. Sawa sawa? And if you ever need help with your CV or your LinkedIn profile or your application process, please reach out to us at justwork.com. We have a fantastic website and information. Thank you so much.
Let's give Elizabeth a better hand clap. She has opened our eyes, and I know we are wiser than when we came in. And some of her highlights, she has talked about the changing environment and you're remaining relevant in today's world. She's talked about upskilling. She's talked about scaling down on yourself when you're applying for a job and fitting yourself to what the organization wants. Don't say I have 6 children, because the insurance will be too high and you'll be eliminated. But you say, I'm a mother, I'm married, that's okay. She also mentioned something about robotics, machine learning, artificial intelligence. These are things that are with us today. You might wonder, how is mommy talking about these things? I read a lot. And I equip myself, knowing that the world is moving and we are all moving. No one is static. So let's give her another round of applause as we invite our next presenter, Brenda. Brenda, who's going to teach us or take us through legal empowerment. Let's clap harder, and I know she'll come faster. Just keep your questions to the end. Hold on to your questions until after the presentation. Brenda, you're welcome.
Praise God. My name is Brenda Luchemo. I'm a winner and an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I have a team of 5. We are a team of 5. I will not waste your time. The first presenter is Purity Sang, an advocate. She will take us through land rights for women. If you have any questions, kindly just write them down. We'll take all the questions at the end of the presentation.
Praise the Lord. My name is Purity Sang. I trade under P. Sang and Company Advocates. I'm married to Mr. Rotich, so I'm Mrs. Rotich. That's Purity Sang is a trade name. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I'm going to turn 10 years in few months from now in practicing law. I'm going to take you through women and their rights on land matters. Kindly pay attention, because there are so many legal issues, and ignorance is not a defense. In the corridors of justice, we do not have what we call I do not know, I don't know. It shall never be a defense before a judge, before a magistrate. Under Kenyan laws, every person has the right to purchase a property. As long as you're above 18 years, you're a woman, you're a man, you have a right to purchase a property. And we are bringing this topic because women have been undermined by the society, by the families, and it is therefore important for you to know your rights in terms of properties in terms of land. Women have been protected under statutes. When I say statutes, I mean law. We have the Constitution of Kenya, we have the law of succession, and we have the Land Registration Act. I don't want you to cram on the statutes or on the law. Just listen, because I'll use the simplest language that every one of us can understand. Under the Constitution, the law says that every person has a right to own a property or to purchase a property. You can own this property as an individual, or you can own this property as in a group. That is, you can acquire it on your own, or you can acquire it through an association. When you say an association, you can be jointly owned in a property. For example, you can jointly own the property either with your friends, with your spouse, if you're married. That is what that chapter means. In the same constitution, it allows women also to own property when you are under marriage. When you are a married woman, as spouses comes together, both of you have equal rights to own a property. Now, I want to go specifically to spousal rights. Spousal rights. And Section 93 of that I don't want you to cram that is under the Land Registration Act. A property that has been purchased when you are in a marriage, that's why we call spousal rights. When you want to purchase, a spouse wants to purchase, if it's a man purchasing the property, both of you must agree. When you want to sell that property, both of you must agree. That's why in the spousal rights, a man cannot sell a property without seeking a consent of a spouse. And it applies on both ways. A property acquired during the marriage, if it is you as a woman that is registered, if you want to sell that property, you must seek your spousal consent. This was done, this law was brought in the year 2012 because there was a realization that our spouses used to sell properties. By the time they are not there, you'll realize that the family, the women, and the children are left without nothing. And that's why this law was brought in. Now, the next thing, if a transaction takes place, you sell the property, your spouse sells property without involving you, that action can be challenged in court. You sell a property, you come and to realize that as a property has been sold, you're already aggrieved, you can move court, and we have land and environmental court where you can file these suits, and you will succeed in getting back the property if you're never involved. A property that is already registered by yourself as a spouse, if that property to want to take a mortgage, you want to charge that property, there has to be a spousal consent. The property you cannot go and take a mortgage on a property without your spousal consent. So women, you have to be alert, wake up, don't allow a property to be charged, a home to be charged without your consent. Then the next time the bank comes, you're not aware and the property is disposed because of your ignorance. And I've told you, ignorance is not a defense in law. The next right that you have is a right to inheritance. The Law of Succession Act allows women to inherit. Most of the society always have this conception that women cannot inherit properties. Women who are married to other families cannot inherit the property. You have a right to inherit a property whether you are married or not. You are a child, all children are equal before the parents. I mean, you have a right to inherit your parents' properties in the event they are no longer with us. The law treats male and female equally in terms of inheritance. The other right that you have, and you have to know, is the issues of matrimonial property. Matrimonial property is the property that is acquired within the marriage. And when I say matrimonial property, it might be in terms of a business, a family business, a home. There are movable properties like cars. You have even household items. Those qualifies as matrimonial property. And in a matrimony, that is where there is a married couple, we have a marriage. We have two kinds of families. There is polygamous family. It happens at times, but it is in the law. It is recognized, not in when we are Christians, but a marriage. If there is a couple that is married and they acquire the property, if you are married, you are the first wife. That property that your husband acquired, you have equal rights between the two of you. In the event of an unfortunate divorce, you have equal rights on those property according to your contribution. And contribution in this manner, the law recognizes other contribution other than monetary. There is monetary contribution and there is non-monetary contribution. Non-monetary contribution, for example, you wake up in the morning as a wife, you cook breakfast, you wash clothes for your children, you take care of that spouse. That qualifies as a spouse, as a contribution. So in the event of an unfortunate divorce, that contribution is recognized by the law. And remember, in the event also that there's an unfortunate, your marriage has turned out to be a polygamous marriage, the property that was acquired when you're still the two of you, that is recognized as, will be divided between the two of you, or you have rights between the two of you only. Any property that is acquired by a man after bringing a second, a third, or the fifth wife, all of you will have equal rights to those properties. Any incoming wife after the first marriage will not inherit a property that was acquired by the first wife. Then also there are rights of foreigners in only land. Mommy and the rest of the foreigners that are with us, the law of this country also allows you to own property, but there are conditions to it. There are two kinds of properties. I'll just simplify, those are the most broad. There are several kinds, but we have what you call leasehold, and we have what you call freehold. Leasehold is a property that the government give you to own it for 99 years under a lease. You purchase it, it is registered in your name. After the 99 years, you go and apply for extension so that you can continue owning. A freehold is absolute. It cannot be changed. Once it is registered in your name, it belongs to you completely. So for foreigners, the law only allows you to own properties under a lease, under 99 years. Now, in terms of if a foreigner wants to own a property under freehold, then we classify it as an agricultural land. You have to maybe register a company, have Kenyans, for example, as major shareholders. Then you come in as a foreigner to be part of a shareholder. That is the only time that the law of this country can allow you to own a property. If also you have a company where only foreigners are registered as shareholders and directors, that one is treated as a person, and it is treated as a personality, as a foreign company, and it cannot own a property. Now, it is very important for us to know how the property is acquired, or how to purchase a property, what is the procedure. When you want to purchase a property, it is good to do what we call due diligence. Due diligence. One of the due diligence that you need to have, you have a purchaser, you have a seller, we call it a vendor, but I'll use the simplest language so that you understand. We'll use a seller and a purchaser. When you want to purchase a property, first of all, obtain a copy of the title and get an advocate to advise. Never purchase a property without getting a legal advice. The advocate that you engage will advise you to do what you call carry out a search. A search will enable you know or confirm the ownership of the property. Once you've carried out a search, now you go to the next step of entering into what you call a sale agreement. A sale agreement is a commitment for both the buyer and the purchaser on a purchaser buying and on a seller selling. A sale agreement, a standard sale agreement, should last for 90 days. The reason why it should be done within or effected within 90 days is because after 6 months, if you don't transfer that land in your name, that sale agreement becomes invalid. So that's why I'm saying you must have an advocate with you when you're engaging in a transaction of land. Once you have verified and entered into an agreement, the purpose of that agreement also is to confirm or to put down in writing the price of that parcel. It will also bring out deposit. If the property is worth $1 million, for example, your commitment we say you deposit 10%. Don't purchase a property and say you want to deposit 100% of the purchase price, because we have what we call completion documents. And the reason why we do a sale agreement is because so that you deposit shows a commitment from a purchaser. Once you purchase, you give an opportunity to the seller to prepare what you call completion documents. So don't go and say you already have that 1 million in your account and you disperse the entire amount. You will not have given the opportunity to the purchaser to prepare completion documents that will allow you have that property. After the agreement has been done, there are what we call completion documents. Completion documents are the documents that will give you the land as a purchaser. This includes an original title. This you will have confirmed whether that seller is the owner of the property. Original title must be issued to you. A duly executed transfer, a transfer which has attached passport photographs of the seller. It also has to have a KRA PIN certificate, a copy of the ID, and there is what we call land control board consent. If you miss that step of land control consent, then that transaction becomes invalid. That's why I'm telling you, you must engage an advocate when you're, so that they can assist you in doing that land transaction. Thereafter, once you have all those completion documents, now you go to the process of registering the documents at the Ministry of Lands. And thereafter, now you obtain your title. Remember, a standard transaction must take 90 days before you fall into suits, which are unnecessary. So knowledge is power. I hope you will not be conned or do things and come to the courts and say you did not know. I think that is all, because I've given you your rights. I've also given you how to purchase that property, and to give my colleague opportunity to, I want to call upon the next presenter. I'm fast because we have several presenters and there's so much. You can reserve your questions later.
Praise God. Praise God again. My name is Faith Nasimiu. I'm an advocate, newly admitted this year. I just finished law school last year. I'll be taking us through the law of succession, also known as the law of inheritance. The law of inheritance is the law which takes up after death. We all know that sadly death is inevitable. In this life we are sojourners, we're just on a journey. When our time comes, unfortunately, we'll go. So basically, we have this common misconception that as Africans, we believe that we don't need to write a will. Because, for example, somebody says, if I write a will, what property do I have to include in this will? Or we believe that if I write a will, I will die the next day. No. Writing a will is not a premonition of your death. Instead, it's an insight, or it tends to gives you a vision of how your property shall be taken care of once you've died. At least it helps you take care of your children and your loved ones after you've died. Because, for example, you write a will, you say that to my firstborn child, you will have this property. My husband or my wife shall have this property. And yes, as women, we have the right also to write wills for ourselves. Writing will is not only a preserve for our husbands and our fathers, no. Also us as women, we can write a will. So as women who are empowered, kindly visit a lawyer, visit me, visit my colleagues, help get them to write a will over whatever property you have. So I'll go straight into what I'm going to present today. So succession, as I've defined it, is the law of inheritance the law which takes place after you've died. In Kenya, we have an act called the Law of Succession. It's very interesting. It tells us how to write our wills, how property is to be divided after we've died. We all have families back at home. We've seen our grandparents die. Unfortunately, if we've lost parents, we know that after someone dies, we have common issues that tend to arise, which include fights over property. Your uncles just come, they take away your house, your children are left destitute, there's no money to pay school fees, your uncles are fighting over this property, the women are kicked out. So we have a law which tends to protect the children and the beneficiaries who are known as dependents under succession. And the dependents include, of first priority is given to a spouse. For example, if you're married, your spouse has the first right to your property, then now your children. If you die and you don't have a spouse, then if you have children, they're supposed to inherit your property. Unfortunately, if you die without a spouse, without a children, at least you have a family. Your immediate family starts with your parents, then your brothers, sisters, and the rest. Unfortunately, if you don't have any relatives, your property will go to the state. Do you understand? If you die without a family, a spouse, children, brothers, sisters, and fathers, whatever property you've worked hard for, the government of Kenya will inherit. Yes. So basically, I would say that number one, it's good to have a will. You know, at least if you have a will, it will avoid the hassle of people fighting over your property, because with the will, it will just go to court. The court will confirm that indeed Nasimiyu wrote a will. She included these beneficiaries in this will, so this property should be divided according to her wishes. Unfortunately, if you write a will and you fail to include the important beneficiaries, what happens is that if you feel that your father wrote a will and you've been left out, as a dependent, you have a right to go to court, and this one is done often through an advocate. We'll go to court and we'll tend to fight for your right that yes, the deceased person wrote a will, but they forgot to include this person. Unfortunately, if I write a will and I give you 1 shilling and I give them 1 million, you know, okay, it's unfair, yes, but that was the wish of the deceased person. So the court might not revert your 1 bob to 1 million, but if you explain your case properly, then it might consider from the remaining, the part of the estate which an estate basically is the property which somebody lives. So as a dependent, number one, you have to prove that indeed I was depending on this estate for survival. Then another common issue which arises after a person has died, you know, sometimes we attend funerals, then a lady, okay, unfortunately ladies, yes, so I come to this funeral, it's a deceased man, maybe I'm Mheshimiwa, I was Mpango wa Kando, I come there with a child who looks exactly like him, so of course the family cannot deny the child. So of course, you are Mpango wa Kando, it's an illegal seed, but still under the law, an illegitimate child has a right to inherit property of their father. Do you get me? So if any of us here is an illegitimate child, maybe you are sired out of marriage and your father, he died, he had property and his real family doesn't know you, kindly, you have a right to go and inherit from his estate. You know, under our law, it doesn't discriminate whether you are born outside marriage or not. As long as you are a child, you have a right to inherit from your father's estate. So basically, that's it about the law of succession. So of importance, I've said that as long as you are a child, you have a right to benefit from your father's or your parents' estate. Then as women, we have a right to inherit from our spouse's estate, whether you are born, whether you are married or not. Okay, of importance, actually, it's really good to get married. You know, at least marriage gives you a legal right to inherit from this man's property. And the types of marriage, they will talk about it. We have the church marriages, civil marriages, and customary marriage. Unfortunately, if you are not officially married, maybe you are just staying with this man as a caretaker of his, just cooking for him meals, then you happen to give birth to children, then one day he dies. You know, actually, you are not a wife, by the way, you are just his caretaker. Unfortunately, if he passes on, you have a task of proving that indeed you are married to him, in quotes. So there you'll have to call your neighbors. And yes, we used to see her with this man. Yeah, they even have children. Now you see, it's a real challenge. That's why as a woman, ensure your name and your spouse's name is on paper. It's legal, not an illegal, but just cooking for somebody daily, pampering him, giving birth to his offspring. No. When he dies, you will have a big challenge. You know, at least for your children, they have an easy task. As long as you prove that they are his children through a DNA test. You know, sometimes people can fake birth certificates. So you might be forced to do a paternity test to prove that indeed they are his children. So for them, it's easier. But for you, you might face a hurdle proving that you are indeed a wife. Actually, I think you saw a case recently where the court ruled that staying with a man does not make you a wife, but you must put your name on paper. So basically that's it for the law of succession. If you are facing any legal issues, maybe your parents died, you cannot access school fees, kindly find an advocate. They will help you with the way forward. Oh, and another thing, if somebody from your family dies, kindly don't deal with that property without legal authority. It's called intermeddling. As I've told you, like my first statement was that when somebody dies, your uncles come, they chase you away from their family property, they take your land and everything. It's called intermeddling. When they do such a thing, kindly go and report it to the chief, the police, then find an advocate to go to court and file an official complaint. Let them not chase you away from your property and you say that we are leaving it to God. Okay, sometimes we leave everything to God, but sometimes it's good to pursue the law to seek justice. That's it. God bless you.
Good morning. I'm Diana Onyango, recently admitted to the High Court as an advocate. I'll be covering child custody. So, first of all, who is a child? That's the first thing. A child is anyone below the age of 18. As long as you're below 18, you're a child. And that's what the law recognizes. When looking at children, it's catered for by the Constitution of Kenya and also by the Children's Act of 2001. I'm going to read from the Constitution in regard to child custody, the part that regards child custody. That's Article 53(1)(e). You don't have to cram the sections, but just know it's there, it's provided for. So every child has the right to parental care and protection, which includes equal responsibility of the mother and father to provide for the child, whether they're married to each other or not. I hope you've noted that. And then also 53(2), a child's best interests are of paramount importance in every matter concerning the child. So the first point to note is that the child's interest is what is always considered first. Who's going to have custody? The rest is after the child's interests have been considered. So we also have to note that child custody relates with parental responsibility. You know that a child needs the basic cares, to go to school, clothes, food, all that. It's the responsibility of the parents. As long as the human is below 18. Oh, I hope you've heard me, the ones at the back. So as long as a child is as long as it's below 18, that's the parents' responsibility. What is child custody? Generally, it's provided for under the Children's Act, but generally it's parental rights and duties that relate to the possession of the child. Possession is rather who is with the child, who's going to be the child, etc. And then there are types of child custody. We have legal custody, we have actual custody, and we have interim custody. Now, for legal custody, I want to read it directly from the Act, so here it is. Legal custody is defined so much of the parental rights and duties in relation to possession of a child as are conferred upon a person by a custody order. So this is when you've gone to court, the court has decided that so and so, through a custody order, the child is going to stay with this parent or that parent or both, whatever the court decides. That's the custody order. And then we have the actual custody, which means the actual possession of a child, whether or not that possession is shared with one or more parents. I hope we're together. And then we have interim. Interim, on the other hand, interim means meanwhile. So while if in case there's a legal battle in court, for example, before the final decision is made, there's an interim order that is made so that the child can have, not that while you're still in court battling the issue, the child is just left to fend for themselves or something. The court will make an order so that maybe the child stays with one parent or a guardian, whatever the court decides. And in all circumstances, the interim custody can't go for more than 12 months. The 12 months is the maximum. And also to note is that custody of children under tender years is usually, in most cases, given to the mother. Tender years is children under the age of 10. And then who can be granted custody? So, custody is granted to the following persons: a parent or a guardian, or any person who applies with the consent of a parent or a guardian. For example, a grandmother. If you're given the consent, you can apply for custody of this child. And any person that is not the three I've mentioned would have to give reason as to why they should be given custody of this child. And then after that, we also have the principles to be applied. First of all, before going to the next one, custody being given to whatever parent or guardian or any interested party, there's usually the DCS, which is the Department of Child Services. Now, this department is for the safeguard and protection of rights of the welfare of children. So they're the ones, they'll carry out not exams, but they'll find out how the children are, what the children think of the parents. They need to find out from the parents, not from third parties, because the information they're given helps in determining which parent is best suited to retain custody, if that is the issue. So factors considered when granting custody. We have the conduct or the wishes of the parent. So if you're someone who mistreats the child, definitely it's going to be an issue. And then we have the ascertainable wishes of the relatives of the child. It's considered. And then there's the wishes of any foster parent or person who has had actual custody of the child. Like I mentioned before, if it's the grandmother may be told to give their wishes so that the court considers. And then even the child is considered. So there's also the ascertainable wishes of the child. The child has to give their opinion. I think there was a case some time back on the news. The children were given to the mother, but they were actually crying. They were like, they don't want to live with the mother, they want to go with the father. So this is something that is usually considered. Which parent are they most comfortable with? It could be because they're being mistreated, something, but the court has to consider all that. You remember we said that the best interest of the child is what is considered. And then whether the child has suffered any harm or is likely to suffer any harm. the customs of the community, the religious persuasions of a child. You can't take a Christian child to a Muslim household. It's different, and it's going to be detrimental to the child if a child doesn't need confusion, in short. And then whether a care order or a supervision order or a personal protection order or an exclusion order has been made in relation to the child concerned, and whether those orders remain in force. So all these orders have to be considered before any decision is made. And then there's also the circumstance of any sibling of the child concerned and of any other children of the home. So all the children have to be considered. Like we said, best interest of the child. And lastly, we have to know that the court's duty is always to act in the best interest of the child. That's why we even have the Department of Child Services being involved, because they give a report at the end of the evaluation, and that report is always part of the court documents. And then custody and parental responsibility go hand in hand. So as long as you have a child, you have a duty to take care of that child. It's your parental responsibility, and it's that child's right to receive care, to be fed, to be clothed, to go to school, all that. It is your responsibility as a child, as a parent, to provide all that. So we should also note that custody does not affect parental responsibility. It does not mean because you've not been given sole custody of the child that you do not have parental responsibility. As long as that child is yours, even if you live in different houses, you need to send upkeep, make sure that your child is okay. If the child is sick, you take the child to hospital, you work together. And of course, we haven't had like these cases where parents agree. That's why we end up having these cases in court, and the court has to decide, are they going to give you legal custody or sole custody? And something I forgot to mention, under legal custody, we have the joint legal custody and the sole legal custody. Now in joint legal custody, it's both of the parents, most of us refer to it as co-parenting. Both of the child may live with one parent, but both parents have the responsibility to take care of this child. And then we have sole legal custody. Now this is in circumstances where one parent is given the entire custodial responsibility. So that is, the child will permanently reside with this one parent, and the other parent may be given visitation rights, like maybe you take the children over the weekend, you return them on Sunday evening, according to the agreement. And yes, I think that's pretty much it.
Good afternoon. My name is Wendy Ogutu. I'm part of the legal team. I'll be taking you through marriage under the Marriage Act. So I'll basically be telling you what marriage is and the types of marriages in Kenya, and then the effects of non-registration of marriage, and then the conversion of marriage, and then instances where marriages can be annulled. So the Constitution, which is the supreme law in Kenya, is the one that guides us with regards to marriage. In Article 45, the Constitution provides for family, but under Article 45.2, it says that every adult has the right to marry a person of the opposite sex based on free consent of the parties. And then we're also told parties to a marriage are entitled to equal rights at the time of the marriage, during the marriage, and at the dissolution of the marriage, like you had been told earlier by Purity with regards to land rights. Okay. Marriage is a voluntary union between a man and a woman to the exclusion of all others, but in the Kenyan law, the Marriage Act provides that marriage is a union between a man and a woman, either in a monogamous or a polygamous union. There are elements of a valid marriage. The minimum age for anyone to enter into marriage is 18 years. You have to have consented to the marriage. You have to have witnesses to your marriage, at least two competent witnesses. And there are instances where people may bring incompetent witnesses. These are people who are under the age of 18 years. They cannot be witnesses to your wedding. Then someone who's suffering from mental instability, someone who's intoxicated, drunk, they don't understand what is happening, someone who does not understand the language in the marriage. For instance, if you're doing a customary marriage where the marriage is the whole ceremony, and then you have a witness who does not understand, that witness is considered as is not considered a proper witness. So there are 5 types of marriages that are recognized in Kenya. The civil marriages, those ones are the ones that are done at the Attorney General's office. We have Christian marriages conducted in churches. We have customary marriages. These are marriages that are conducted according to the various customs of the parties to the marriage. Then Islamic marriages, those ones are conducted according to the Sharia law. It's for people who profess the Muslim faith. We also have the Hindu marriage. It is also conducted with people who profess the Hindu faith. Then civil marriages, I'm going to a bit of detail. Civil marriages are monogamous in nature. They are conducted at the Attorney General's office. They are conducted through, they can be conducted through a notice or by special license, where the notice is where both parties are Kenyan nationals, and it involves the placing of a 21 days notice. And then it can also be by special license, where any of the parties is a foreign national or both of the parties are foreign nationals. Then if the marriage is going to be conducted in somewhere that is not licensed, then parties probably are not able to give a 21 days notice. Yes, so for people who are conducting a civil marriage by notice, they require to produce the following things: their valid IDs, passport ID or passport, color passport photos. Both parties are supposed to appear before the registrar and fill in a notice form. And then in case one of the parties is widowed, they also have to produce a death certificate. And in case there was a divorce, they have to produce the decree of divorce. Yes, and then the divorce has to be more than a year old, or if in case of death, it should not be more than 2 years old. Others will provide an affidavit to confirm the marital status. And the fee for civil marriages by notice is 3,900 shillings. Well, the Christian marriage is conducted in churches. It is monogamous in nature, like I've said. It can also be done by notice and special license. And both parties will appear before the registrar to fill a form, to fill a notice form. But then also in church, we are also aware that there's actually a procedure that is carried out, which is in line with the law. That is, in church, the couple who intend to get married will go before the marriage committee. Then they are required to produce certain documents. They produce the consent of the parents, the testimonies of how they met, the school certificate, employment, pregnancy test, and then various other things that are required by the marriage committee. And then after that, they are introduced to the pastors, and then the marriage is announced. Like I said earlier, marriage is supposed to be announced within 21 days. That 21 days is given so that in case there's any person who is objecting to the marriage, they can go and report to the pastor who's going to officiate and tell them this marriage should not happen because of these reasons. And then the pastor will hear the dispute, and then if it is found out, if they discover that the marriage can no longer hold, the marriage will be postponed or cancelled. And if there's no issue, once the objection was raised and there was no issue, the marriage will proceed. Then the couples will proceed with the marriage. And then also in a wedding, like we've seen here in church, we usually see 2 witnesses besides the couple who go and attest and write and sign on the certificate of marriage that they witnessed this marriage of so and so. And then they're given a copy of the certificate. Yes, And also you are supposed to, any marriage should be done under someone who's registered. The people who are registered are the registrar of marriages, and then there's the minister of, officiating minister. Those are like the pastors now. They're recognized in the Marriage Act. So if you do a marriage in church, it's actually recognized. There's also a concept. I'll go to customary marriages. These are marriages that are conducted according to the various customs. So the parties go through, in customary marriages, required to pay dowry, and then after the completion of the customary rites being acknowledged, the couples have to go through the registrar of marriage within 3 months after you've completed that whole process of the customary rites. And then the registrar will give them the notification that they will notify the registrar within 3 months after completing the rites. And then after that, the customary law applied. The notification will include the customary law applied, either it was Kikuyu or Kamba or Luo, whichever. Then the notification has to include a written declaration by the parties that the customary requirements have been undertaken. The declaration shall contain the signatures or personal marks of 2 adults who are witness to the customary marriage. So your witnesses are not just anybody, they're people who witnessed the customary marriage. And then, of course, the parties have to be 18 years and above. They should not be within a prohibited relationship. Prohibited relationship is your cousins. You cannot marry your cousin, you cannot marry your aunt, you cannot marry your father, you cannot marry your mother, your grandmother, nephews, cousins, all those. Yes, those are prohibited relationships. After that, the registrar will display a notice conspicuous in a place where it can be seen for 14 days. In case of an objection, the registrar will hear the objection, and then after, if there is no issue, the registrar will go ahead and issue an acknowledgement certificate. After the acknowledgement certificate has been issued, the parties can now apply for the registration of the marriage, and now under customary marriage, and then they'll be issued with a certificate. Then there's consequences of not registering. If you fail to register your marriage, it will be declared invalid. It doesn't exist. From 1st of August 2017, the law required that all marriages in Kenya have to be registered. So, like Faith Nasimi had presented and talked about cohabitation. Cohabitation means living in an arrangement that you are staying with this man and he has not paid dowry, you have not gotten married, just staying together and taking care of him. So that is no longer recognized in Kenya. Every marriage, there are only 5 types of marriages, like I've stated: the civil marriage, the Christian marriage, the customary marriage, the Hindu marriage, and the Islamic marriage. So if you are in any type of relationship that does not include the 5 that I've mentioned, you should go and register it because you are not recognized by the law. There are instances where the court might annul a marriage, meaning to make it invalid. This is where the marriage has not been consummated. That means the couple did not have sex, so the marriage can actually be annulled. And then the parties were in an prohibited relationship, meaning they are related, either your uncle, aunt, those ones. And then in case of a monogamous marriage, one of the parties was married to another person. So you can't enter into a marriage, for instance, a Christian marriage, you can't enter into a marriage with someone who's in a Christian marriage and then also in a customary marriage. That marriage will be declared invalid. Then if consent was not freely given, a party to the marriage was absent at the time of the celebration of the marriage. Those are some of the instances where the court might annul the marriage. And then if the wife was pregnant at the time of the marriage and the husband did not know, or he's not the father of the child she's carrying, the court will declare the marriage invalid. Then the other party suffers from insanity. Yes, and then lastly, I will take you through the duration of marriage. Marriage lasts up to, in case of death, that is when the marriage will end. And then if the court declares a presumption of death, that is, for example, your spouse got lost over 5 years ago, the court will presume that that person died, and then the marriage will cease to exist. And then a decree of an annulment. The decree of an annulment is like in those instances where, like I've said, if the marriage is not consummated, if the person was in another marriage before he got into this marriage, then in case of a divorce, and then a foreign decree or divorce or annulment, those are instances where marriages can be annulled. And then, of course, proof of a marriage, you have to have a marriage certificate and a certified copy of a marriage, and then it has to be entered into the register of by the register of marriages. There are instances where a couple might want to convert their marriage from a customary marriage to a Christian marriage. So customary marriages are a potentially polygamous marriage. The law recognizes them as that. So if you are in a customary marriage and then you want to change your marriage from a customary marriage, which is potentially polygamous, to a monogamous marriage, the two of you have to agree, the husband and the wife, have to agree that you will convert your marriage to a civil or a Christian marriage, and then their consent has to be there, and then the declaration has to be witnessed by a marriage officer and signed by the couple, and then you'll be given a new certificate. That is, if you are under customary marriage, then you'll be given a new certificate that now you are under civil or Christian marriage. Yes, those are some of the instances where a marriage can be converted. I will invite Brenda to take you to unfair termination. Thank you.
Praise God. My name is Brenda Luchemo. I'm an associate advocate at Mbai Waweru Advocates, 3 years in standing today. I'll take you through employment matters. I think with this COVID period, a lot has happened. I will just, the main issues I will be tackling are termination of employment in terms of resignations and dismissals. But first, I'll start with simple definitions. Who is an employee? An employee means a person employed for wages or a salary. An employer is the person who employs the employee. Basically that. Then in Kenya, there is a maximum number of working hours. If you work during the day, you are supposed to work for a maximum of 52 hours per week. That is if you work during the day. But if you work at night, you're supposed to work a maximum of 60 hours if you are a night worker per week. It doesn't matter your designation, it doesn't matter your job title. What does the law say about leave days? There are many types of leave. There is the normal annual leave, which the law provides, it's 21 working days. There are employers who count 21 calendar days. That is not what the law provides. The law provides for 21 working days. Working days means minus Sunday, minus public holidays. And there is sick leave. If you have been with your employer on permanent and pensionable terms, as many like to say, you are entitled to 30 days sick leave with full pay. After you exhaust the 30 days, you'll now be entitled to 15 days with half pay. So after that, but if you've been with your employer for 2 months, let's say maximum 2 months, you're only entitled to 7 days sick leave. But if you've been with them more than that, the sick leave goes higher. Maternity and paternity leave. For the women, maternity leave is 3 months with full pay. Here again, there is contention on what the 3 months entail. Is it 3 months working days or just 3 calendar months? Most employers nowadays, they count 3 calendar months. And they seem to have gotten away with it. I think the law has transitioned into that. The male employees, they're entitled to 2 weeks paternity leave, where they're supposed to stay with their spouses, but we are not sure whether that happens. And most employers frown upon paternity leave because they believe these men are not going to stay with the women at home. But still the men are entitled, your husbands, are entitled to 2 weeks paternity leave with full pay. Then there is a matter that usually affects many employees, especially in the mostly manufacturing sector. These are work injuries at the workplace. Now, your employer is supposed to give you protective gear. Wherever it is that you work, you are supposed to have protective gear. But at times, this is not adhered to. Your employer is supposed to also provide a safety, health, to ensure that there's safety, health, and welfare at the workplace. This is according to the law. Now, when you have a complaint, you got injured at work, or you fell sick because of the job that you have. Nowadays, you cannot go to the magistrate's court. The Supreme Court ruled that the magistrate courts do not have jurisdiction over work injuries. So when you get hurt at work or you fall ill, you are supposed to file a complaint with the Director of Safety and Health under the Ministry of Labor. Let no one misguide you to file that matter in court. Usikubali wakili akwambie, hii kesi, hii utashinda mchana. By 10 a.m. utakuwa umeshinda. That advocate kweli anakudanganya because the magistrate court has no jurisdiction. You'll be paying for an advocate to do nothing. You're supposed to go to the Director of Safety and Health and file your complaint there. Now, when the Director of Safety and Health, they will conduct a hearing. They've actually been given authority by the Work Injury and Benefits Act to conduct a hearing and to award what we call damages. Like according to the injury that you suffered, you're compensated. If you're not happy with that award, kama ulikatika mkono and umeambiwa the Director of Safety and Health has given you 200,000 and you're unhappy because kama umekatika mkono, really you cannot work anymore the way you used to work. You have a right to file an appeal at the Employment and Labor Relations Court. Now, when an advocate tells you you have the right to appeal, they can file this appeal at the Employment and Labor Relations Court, they're actually telling you the truth. So, next, I'm tackling termination of employment under resignations and dismissals. There's voluntary resignation where you're tired, you write to your employer, I'd like to move on to something else. Your employer accepts your resignation, you can go. But there are people who, even after resigning, they file a complaint in court that they were unfairly terminated. Now, if you do that, it is upon you to prove to court that you actually did not resign. And it's upon you to prove to court that your resignation was not your will. I'll tackle that shortly. There's what we call constructive dismissal. So voluntary resignation, you resign, you get your money, you go. Then there's what we call redundancy. Redundancy is where the company is probably downsizing and they are doing away with certain departments. So redundancy, you cannot declare one person redundant. It's actually illegal. You cannot go to court and you as an employer, you cannot declare that this department is now redundant, but only one person is going. The entire department must go. And for you to prove, there are things that an employer must put in place when they are claiming redundancy. You as the employer, you notify, if your employees are under a union, you notify the union that you will be conducting a redundancy exercise. You also notify your the employees that will be affected, and you notify the labor officer. This must be done 1 month, minimum 1 month in advance. You must also indicate the date of the redundancy, and if your employee is not a member of a union, you must also inform the labor officer. The labor officer is a government official. You don't pretend that you went to a certain HR company and you informed a labor officer there. No. You must inform a labor officer who is from the government. Usually the rule of redundancy is that the last person to come in should be the first person to go out. I cannot be working for you for the past 20 years, and someone came in and has been working for 5 years, and when you are declaring redundancy, you kick me out. The person who has been working for you for 20 years, I'll definitely go to court and claim discrimination and unfair termination. And I've said redundancy cannot affect one employee. Then there's what we call summary dismissal. An employer can actually kick you out without notice. It is provided for in the law. So notice is not mandatory when you're kicked out under summary dismissal. So an employer has a right to terminate your employment under summary dismissal if you're absent from work without justification, if you're intoxicated during your working hours, if you're given instructions and fail to carry them out, if you abuse your employer or use insulting language or behave in a manner insulting to your employer, you do those hand signs, those abusive things, your employer can actually just tell you, just pack and leave. And if someone of authority has been put over you, let's say a section head in your organization, they give you instructions and you fail to undertake those instructions, you can actually be issued with a summary dismissal. Or if you have been convicted in court or you've been arrested, you can be issued with a summary dismissal. When I talked about work injuries, the labor office is at industrial area. Even when you're being dismissed, the labor officer should be, it's around industrial area, the place is called Commercial Street. I think when you go there, you cannot miss it. The Constitution also provides for right to fair labor practices. It's under Article 41 of the Constitution. When you find time, you can read it for yourself. Then I was saying there's a way you can resign that it has been forced upon you. This is what we call constructive dismissal. Constructive dismissal happens when your employer makes your work environment very unbearable. You have employers who actually, when you come in, they may be shouting at you. Every time there's an issue. Every time, Brenda umefanya hii, Brenda umefanya hii. You're always issued with letters of show cause. There is no peace in that workplace. You can actually resign and go to court and claim constructive dismissal. This is where an employer's behavior becomes so intolerable or makes your life so difficult that the employee has no choice but to resign. But remember, when you go to court, you also have to prove how intolerable the workplace was. My advice is when all these things start happening, you can write a letter addressing the issue. Put your things in writing. Because when you go to court, hearsay will not work. You have to inform and express to the court that actually this boss has been tormenting me for the past 1 year or 2 years. That is why I chose to resign for the sake of my sanity. What is your proof? These letters of complaint, the boss never changed. Okay. Then there's what we call severance pay, gratuity, and service pay. People actually confuse the three. Severance pay is applicable only during redundancy. Any other resignation, any other termination, you're not entitled to what is called severance pay. Severance pay is only applicable during redundancy, and it is calculated by multiplying 15 days of your salary, but the number of years that you have worked in that organization, only upon redundancy. Service pay and gratuity. Service pay is similar to gratuity, only that service pay is paid out at the end of the employment. Now, this is where when you resign, your employer can count, you've worked for me for this, just general resignation, not redundancy. You will be entitled to service pay. Gratuity, on the other hand, can be paid at the end of every year or any time the employer wishes. The employer can decide, since you've been with me for 5 years now, from next year, I will be paying you gratuity at the end of every year. So when you resign, let no one tell you unafaa ulipo severance pay. No, severance pay is for redundancy. Then there's what we call voluntary early retirement. This is an offer by the employer to the employee. At times, the employer may not want to undertake redundancy or fire people, so they'll offer voluntary early retirement. Now, you as an employee, you have to be very careful when taking this package, because voluntary early retirement is not covered, you cannot claim that my employment contract, I was supposed to be paid this much, and now under voluntary early retirement, I'm being paid less. Actually, under the voluntary early retirement, the conditions of a voluntary early retirement can be less favorable than your employment contract. And you cannot claim that nimepewa pesa kidogo kushinda what I used to earn. That is why it is called voluntary, that you enter into it while knowing what you're getting. There is no court of law in this land that you will go to and say that my salary was 5 million and now the VER says 1 million. They actually shortchanged me. No. You're actually given a chance, you read it, you apply in writing, then now you're given your money and you go. Voluntary early retirement can be applied for any employee at 50, below 50, doesn't matter. And for employers, when you undertake voluntary early retirement, you can actually apply for extension of tax exemption at KRA. All benefits are taxed under the Kenyan law. But now when you're undertaking a voluntary early retirement exercise, it means that there's something that is happening to your company and you can't sustain this workforce. So you have a right to apply to KRA for tax exemptions. There's a process, they will guide you, and then you can be, there's a gazettement also. So when it is gazetted, your organization will be exempted from tax, from being taxed for those employees who've taken the voluntary early retirement. And for the younger ones who work as volunteers, there's a law that governs volunteers. Volunteering is offering your services free of charge. As a volunteer, you do not have rights under the Employment Act. Yes, you have rights under the Constitution of dignity and all that and respect, but you do not have rights under the Employment Act. You're working for free. You can be terminated anytime. You're not entitled to wages. You're not entitled to, what do you call it, notice. You can just be told, today, your volunteer work imeisha. And finally, house helps. A domestic worker, mostly we call house helps. They include cleaners, cook, gardeners, housekeepers. There is a law that protects the house helps. The domestic worker is entitled to the same labor rights as other workers. Everything that pertains to you when you go to work in that office or wherever it is, the same thing pertains to your house help whom you live in the house. And actually, lately we've found judges ruling in favor of house helps to the tune of granting them damages to the tune of 200,000, 300,000 for wrongful dismissal. So you have to be very careful. A house help is entitled to 2 days of rest every week. And an annual leave of 21 days with full salary. They're entitled to sick leave. They're entitled to maternity leave benefits. You're supposed to pay NHIF. You're supposed to pay NSSF. If you fail to do all this as an employer, you are liable to 6 months imprisonment or a fine of 50,000 shillings. And also, the house help can take you to court and you will pay a lot of money. So to be on the safe side, you cover your bases. Write an employment contract when you employ these house helps. Let them sign. Because some of them, when they go, they are crafty, some. When they go to court and you've actually not given them an employment contract, they can catch you there. They actually say you fail to give them a contract because you're overworking them and all that. And also, you're not supposed to employ anyone under the age of 18. Sasa hapo ndo utashikwa. Kama hakuna contract, hakuna kitambulisho, hajakuwa akienda leave, hujamlipia NHIF, NSSF, hizo vitu zote, you will end up paying in court. They have a union, na siku hizi wamechanuka sana. They know this union, so they know even how to lodge a complaint in court. So be very careful when you're handling your house helps. You may think they don't know, but they actually talk a lot. And the trend is the judges are actually biased. It's like they're sending a message. A house help can no longer be treated like any other. If you, as an employer, if you're an employee somewhere and you feel you have rights, your house help also has rights. That is the end of our presentation. You can raise your questions if there are any. Thank you.
Let's give them a better applause for that very, very informative session. Just hold your questions to the end of the presentations. We're going to have a question and answer session. Our next presenter will be Dickness Mary Mudhui, who's going to take us through entrepreneurship. Dickness Mary. Give a hand applause for her, a hand of applause.
Praise God. Are we tired? Just wave and show that you are not tired and you are in church. It's my year of breaking limit. Okay. I take this opportunity to thank the leadership. God first and the leadership for giving me this opportunity to talk to you. Thank you, Mommy. My name's Mary Mudhui, as you have heard, and I'll be taking you through entrepreneurship. When Mommy was introducing today's topic to us, the training to us, he said that as women, we need to have something to do. Elizabeth came here and introduced to us about career development. We need to be asking ourselves, what happens when then we don't get these jobs in time? The Bible tells us that no one has come to this world empty. God has given each one a talent. So it's up to us. Maybe we are geared towards being employed, but the job has not come. Are we going to sit down and let our needs eat deep into our lives, or are we going to engage ourselves in something? And that is the topic I'm taking us through today. We need to understand what entrepreneurship is. and I begin to define it. Entrepreneurship is the discovery, and we are going to have an interactive section, so please pay attention. Entrepreneurship is the discovery, the evaluation, and exploitation of opportunities with an aim of making a profit out of them. I repeat, discovery, evaluation, exploitation of opportunities with an aim of making a profit out of them. So, I want the first person to tell me what the keyword is. I've repeated. What is one first keyword that we need to know if we want to be good entrepreneurs? Anyone volunteer? Let us be very fast.
Opportunities.
Thank you, Mami. We have seen that we need to discover. We need to evaluate, we need to exploit, and we have opportunities. And there's another word that I want us to deliberate on, profit. Okay? What is discovery? Discovery is just, in simple terms, finding out, learning something that is hidden. For this forum today and for this topic is to discover a gap or a need that you as a person, you may feel. So then you keep yourself busy. And remember, you're doing this for a purpose. By the end of, at the back of your mind, you need to make profit. So number one that you're supposed to do as you sit down there, maybe during COVID, you lost your job, and you are wondering, what do I need to do? Sit down and discover this thing. Sit down and discover the gap that you need to fill. Number two, evaluate. The meaning of evaluation in simple terms is to judge the value or worth of something. That thing that you have discovered yourself, evaluate it. Know whether it has a value. Will it fill the gap that you discovered? Number three, evaluate. Evaluate is to judge, is to use something in order to get an advantage out of it. Then we go to opportunity. Opportunity is a circumstance where one has a possibility of gaining something, gaining a benefit out of it. What is profit? I know we know it. I said we are going to be very interactive. I'm coming, and if you don't answer me, I'll just pick you. What is profit, This Rose?
Profit is any benefit you get from something.
Anyone with a different definition of profit?
Gain or addition or increase.
Simply put, gain or addition. So, as an entrepreneur, you need to have that at the back of your mind. You have discovered, you have evaluated, you have exploited, and you've discovered that you have an opportunity. So now, how do you now put all those things together so that you get a profit? Because we are women, we need to dress well, we need to dress our children, we need money for our kitchens and all that. So by the end of the day, at the back of your mind, what do you have? Profit. That is what we need to have. So, in simple terms, we want now to crown our definition. An entrepreneur is a person who finds out a hidden feature, judges its value, and decides to take advantage of it. You have to decide. It's you who is going to decide. You may sit there and say, I've lost my job. And yet, there's something that you can do. So you decide that to take advantage of that situation or that discovery of yours, and the intention at the end of it all is to make a profit so that you may use this money for your own good and for your family as women. An entrepreneur is an initiator. We are going to find out the difference as we continue between an entrepreneur and a business person. An entrepreneur is an initiator of an idea. Remember, you sat down and evaluated. You did not copy another person. This is your own idea that you discovered that I can run with this idea. So you are an initiator of that idea. You are not a copycat. You make your own path because you evaluated and you said, this is the path that I need to follow so that I may gain the profit that I want to gain by the end of the day. So you make your own path, which now becomes a guideline to other businesses. Remember, as you come up with that idea, many people are looking at you. They have seen the idea that you have started executing it. So they would want to copy you. But they cannot copy what you saw in your own mind. So because of that uniqueness, even in competition, you realize that you remain afloat because the idea is unique to you. And it is that idea that keeps you. So then now, having said that, we need to understand the difference between an entrepreneur and a business person. A business person is one who starts a business on an existing idea. And what is the main thing for this person? It is not to run with a vision, but is to make a profit. We know this during this COVID season, there are some people who really made a lot of money. You discover that you are in a hotel industry, it's been closed. But now, here is an opportunity where masks have to be worn. It's a government law. Before, these masks became very, very plenty in the market. They were few, because I remember one was going for 100 bob. Those people that had a way of getting masks that time really made money, right? So we want to know, is an entrepreneur a good person? Is it better being an entrepreneur or being a business person? It depends on what you want at that particular time. So this person who is a business person sees just an opportunity that has come. It's not my idea. So what do? I want to make money. So I run very fast, collect what I need to sell, I sell to you. And usually, sometimes these things are very short-lived. So you have to be very smart as to know to take advantage of it before it expires. If you bought a lot of masks, maybe very expensively right now, you know you are going to throw them away. There's also an issue of, who remembers about the spray bottles when COVID came? I remember those days before COVID, a spray bottle was going for maybe 20 shillings. When COVID came and every other person had to have the spray bottle, I remember they went up to 250 shillings. I bought one at that much. Whoever had that, whoever just saw that opportunity and ran and bought and stocked, they made money. So that's a business person right there. So they don't walk on a divine path, but they are market players. Because it's what is in demand that I will go, buy, and sell. So we have to ask ourselves as women, okay, fine. There's that aspect of you want to run with a vision, but there's that other aspect of I want to make money, and I want to make money very quick. So you are not tied to one particular thing. By the end of the day, it's the profit, remember. So a business person will always engage in products or services that are high in demand that will enable him to make huge profits. An example of an entrepreneur that we all know is Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft, and Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple, and etc. We have many. Businessmen are all over. So we cannot give an example. You know them. So after we have seen the difference, now we want to look at if you want to be a successful entrepreneur. Entrepreneur is what I want to dwell on a lot because we've said business come. It's our opportunities that bring themselves. So it's up to us to know when we take advantage of them. Now we want to follow a certain path that, remember we said an entrepreneur will always survive no matter what. A business person will not. So we'd rather have this line that we know we are going to follow that is sustainable. We want to look at the attributes of an entrepreneur. Attributes of an entrepreneur. Number one is passion. If you're going to be an entrepreneur and a starter of your business, you really have to love what you do. Remember, in our introduction, we say that you'll need to evaluate. And to discover. You discover. This thing that you discover, is it something that you really love? Because what you love, you'll not have a lot of, you'll not need to be pushed by anybody to do it. It comes naturally. So you have to have passion for that thing that you've discovered because you love it. No one will be pushing you to do it. It comes in its own natural way. Then after you have loved this thing and you really want to do, you will not feel the time that you spend doing it as being too much or too long. The lawyers came here and told us about working hours. As an entrepreneur, there's nothing like working hours. You may even be working in midnight when everyone is asleep. So you roll in long hours into that business that you are doing. And remember, it's a passion. So what is driving you, because it is your passion, is the results that you want to see by the end of the day. Number two attribute of an entrepreneur is you must have strong work ethics. If you are in your business and you have employees, you lead by example because this is your vision. You are the one who is running it. So by the end of the day, you don't come at your place of work at 10 o'clock when your employees are there at 7. So you have to always be in time. Not on time, in time, even sometimes earlier. You have to volunteer to work even off days because sometimes you don't know the demand. I always tell people in business, there's no clear created path like the ones that we have had in our career where you get a contract and it's signed and you're given your job description. As an entrepreneur, there's nothing like a job description. I always tell people, I wake up in the morning thinking I'm going to be doing ABCD, but by the time it's evening, I've done Z. No, let's take the alphabet backwards. Z, yeah. Because it's what comes, it's what you handle. So that's now another thing that you need to have as an entrepreneur. Number 3 is strong people skills. Strong people skills. Especially if you're doing a service. If you're doing a service, you need to have strong people skills. You must be an excellent communicator because you have to convince me why I should choose you and not the other person. That requires communication. The power to motivate. Motivation is not just one-sided. Even your customers, so that they may come. I bought something to you today, and I'm going to come again tomorrow and also refer another person to you. Strong people skills. You also have to know the knowledge of the product that you're selling or offering. It's not your employee to be knowing what the product is more than you. It's you now to know what it is that you're selling. That is one aspect also. Determination is another attribute. In the business world, there are so many challenges, and it's not for the chicken-hearted people. Challenges come. Let the challenge not put you down, but let them be the springboard to your next level of improving your business. So that will come only if you're determined. Never imagine there's a possibility of failing. Having the zeal to keep on trying again and again, even if you fail. You have to be a self-starter. You do not wait for somebody to motivate you to do what you have to do. Your ambition has to be high up. If anything needs to be initiated, you need to initiate it yourself, and you need to have that ability of knowing when to initiate something. You have to have creativity. What you discovered when Elizabeth was here telling us about career, we saw how things are changing. Likewise, also in business, things do change. So you need to be creative enough, otherwise you remain there. There's this online thing now, online marketing, like she was telling us that she needs to buy a sweater, she doesn't go to Kikomba, or she can buy it while seated down, and it will be delivered there. As a business person also, you need to position yourself so that you may be able now to be creative enough, flexible enough, and change with times to improve your business. Remember, we said this idea that you bring on board, you think you brought it alone. There are people who are sitting there who don't want to think. They just want you to think for them, take it up, and make counterfeits out of it, and be doing a lot of business. Is that right? So you have to have a strong desire to be more successful than those that are also imitating you. Improve your product, improve yourself, be the best. And in business, you have to be militant. Sometimes it takes that. You have to be open-minded, willingness to try new things. Don't just remain there on that one idea that came your way. Consider new ideas. You need a lot of confidence. Have you ever met these people who just come and approach you and they will make you buy something? That is a lot of confidence right there. You need to have it because you need to sell yourself. And to do this, you need to be self-assured and believe in yourself and in your abilities. And know that you're capable. Discipline is another attribute. Focus energy on making business work. Try and eliminate distractions and obstacles to the goal of your business. Discipline is ability to work in a controlled way, which involves obeying particular rules and standards. Remember, the lawyers told us about the task. We are under a law. So your business has to operate within those rules. Don't take shortcuts. I've seen a lot of business people go into trouble because of this KRA thing. And you know when KRA comes, they pounce on you, they take everything. They even suppress your accounts if you have not been paying the required taxes. So that is part of discipline. And as Christians, we know that. The Bible says that we give to Caesar what is to Caesar and to God what is God's. So, discipline. Integrity. We are here. We know what integrity is. Strong moral principles. Doing the right things, which we get from church every time when we come to church on Sundays. Being truthful and loyal. We talked about flexibility, which is the last one that I'm going to take now. Ability to think, revise, or even abandon a plan. This idea of yours, don't think that you cannot abandon it. You need to sit down and rethink it if it is not performing for you. Willingness to change if there's need to change. With that, I'm going to call my colleague, Agatha, to come and take us through the next step of the business life cycle.
Thank you so much. Praise God. I thank God for this opportunity and the leadership to come before you and share together. As my sisters just talked about entrepreneurship, I believe we all know who an entrepreneur is. We all know. If somebody came and asked you who is an entrepreneur, I believe we all can say an entrepreneur is. Do we? Okay, let me just go as a revision what she has said. She has said an entrepreneur is a person who is able to look at their environment. This is my environment, where I am at this moment in time. If I look around, what are the business opportunities that exist where I am? That is who an entrepreneur is. Can I be able to look right now, as we are seated here, which are the business opportunities you can identify in this place? Any one person? Yes? Food business. Yeah. She has seen a number of people and it's almost lunchtime. If she puts mandazis or tea outside there, we are able to buy and she'll be able to get business out of it. And she clarified, such a person, business person. But a person who is already in catering at this moment in time, to them, that will be entrepreneurship. Because they've grown their career towards that area. So when the opportunity comes, they already know, if I sell this food this way, I'm able to make profit. Sometimes when you see an opportunity, you think it's a business opportunity, but when you go to it, you do it, you still don't make money. That means you are just a business person taking an opportunity, but you've not studied it to know, am I going to make a profit out of this or not? So what you're going to do next is, what is a business life cycle? When I get into business, if I decide today I want to go to catering, or I want to make soap, or I want to be a lawyer, or whatever business you're going to go into, what are the steps? How do I get into this business? How do I grow it, and what happens to it? Everything that is created, there is a point it is introduced. Even a child, you get pregnant, a seed is planted inside you, you get pregnant. The child is incubated in the stomach. And that's where we call entrepreneurs. You are able to incubate an idea inside you. Think about it. Digest it. Ponder upon it. This is what I want to do. Will I need other people to assist me, employees? Where do I want to put my business? Do I want to run it from the house? Or do I want to get a business elsewhere? Where do I get the money to start? That process of incubation is very, very important. It's the one that will make you succeed or fail in whatever you decide to do. And we have said a man's gift, open rooms for him or her. Let me have 3 volunteers to come in front. 3 or 4 volunteers. Please, please, because of time, we are chasing time. 3 or 4 volunteers. One more. One more volunteer. Okay, just come. Very close to each other. The business world is already occupied. As you can see, these people are here. The business world is occupied. That's why you hear there's usually nothing new under the sun. Whatever you want to do, other people are doing it or have done it. That's where the idea of innovation comes in. So it is usually space that is occupied. As you are thinking to come to it, it's already occupied. So when we are saying your gift will open room, remember, it will open. The room does not exist. There has to be an opening. There has to be an opening. How do I open room when these people are here? When I come here, because she wants to be here, when I'm trying to squeeze myself, she'll also want to take more space. And some people have more space. Just come this way. To an extent, they occupy. Stretch your hand. Stretch. Just come this way. Stretch. They occupy more space. So I want to fit myself into a space that is already existing. That means I have to think creatively. How do I enter into this space that I'm seeing that is existing? Remember, they will not allow me if I don't come up with a strategy in order to fit in this place. So I have to be very, very creative. How do I enter this place that already exists? There are different ways to enter a space that already exists. For example, I can go to her and ask, how do you do this? How, if she's friendly enough, she'll tell me, come, I'll leave for you space. And I'll enter. And if she is not, and that's what we usually call competition is stiff. As I try to come in, what will she be doing? Try to push me out. As I try, I might be saying there's a space, but as I try, she will push me out. So it is up to me to decide, do I want to enter this space or not, and what is my requirement? That's why we are saying it's not a matter of just waking up one day and saying, it's raining, I can sell umbrella. I go to Mwindi, get umbrella, then I succeed in life. There are stages. So the first stage usually called the introduction stage. And that's the stage many of us, if you ask somebody today, why aren't you doing anything? What is the answer I'll get? No capital. This is what we usually refer to as. This is what we usually refer to as capital. All of us look at this as capital. That's how the world looks at it. Since you're in opportunity today to learn business in church, we are told what opens room for you? Money. What opens room for you? It is your gift that opens rooms for you. It is not the money. It is not the cash. So all of us today, who is not gifted? I want to see you lift your hands up if you feel you are not gifted. We are all gifted. So we should all be having room to enter. We should all be having what requires us to enter into the world of business. It is your gift. It is not the capital as the world put it. It's your gift. Because when you have your gift, you are able to enter. If I want to produce soap, for example, I can go to my sister and ask, I need to produce soap. I need 200 shillings. Can you help me with 200 shillings? When I produce 20 liters of soap, I'll be able to get my profit and I'll give you your 200 shillings back within 2 weeks. That's why initially we were being told what are the characters and the qualities of a good entrepreneur. We were told passion, integrity. I believe most of us have been to Bible school. We did character development. Those of us who've not been to Bible school, you need to go there in order to be a good entrepreneur. Make sure you go to Bible school. As you run character development, you are being taught how to be a good entrepreneur. So for you to get this, the initial capital we are talking about, it depends with your character development. Who are you? Who are the people you know? Who are the people surrounding you? Who are the people you are sharing ideas with? Like today, we are so fortunate we are here. Because we fellowship in this church, or we have people we are associating with people who are in this church, we are able to sit in a class to learn about business in church. We thank God for that because of our association. Who is your person you're associating with? Matters so much how you get your capital investment. And I've told you capital investment is not necessarily money. Once you know that you're a child of God, God has given you a gift. You're able to pray and ask the Holy Spirit, lead me to know what I need to do. And as the Holy Spirit leads you, you will know. Sometimes it's not this money that I need, it's ingredients. If she has a shop selling ingredients for making soap, I can go to her and tell her, I need ingredients for making soap in order to do business. And this is my proposal. This is my business plan. And if we fellowship together and you have integrity, she'll be able to give you that and you'll have capital. And you'll enter into business. So I've told you from today, this is not what puts you in business. It is not the money. It is the gift in you. Is what takes you to do business. Search God. Tell God I want to start business. And He will show you. God will show you what you require to do in order to enter into business. Once you've started a business, it's like a farmer growing. When I plant maize, what do I harvest? Can I plant maize and harvest beans? Yes. What you put in is what you get out from your business. Once you have seed in your hands, as an entrepreneur, ask yourself, what do I want? That's where we are talking about personal branding. Thank you. Personal branding, when we are talking about career. And that's why I didn't even introduce myself to start with. When you're talking about personal branding, you're talking about how you package yourself. As you go to a person, how you carry out yourself, that's why I talk about character development. You are able to get what you want out of life depending on how you package yourself. Because you as a person, you are all that you require to start a business. You as a person, you are the seed that is required to be planted in that business. The way I think will make me succeed or fail in the business that I do. Like different farmers, we can all have 1 acre of land, then we go to plant beans, all of us. The harvest from that farm depends on me as an individual and the other person as an individual. If I go to till the land, I decide to till my land halfway, not the whole 1 acre. The other person goes to their land and till the whole land. I will plant halfway. How much harvest will I get? Half the harvest. While the other person will get full harvest. The work you've put on yourself. So what am I saying? Us as individuals, we need to work on ourselves. Work on yourself. In order to succeed, you need to work on yourself. What do I require? As you heard, my name is Agatha Oturi. I'm a fashion designer by profession. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been in business for the last 30 years as a trainer and a fashion designer. So in fashion design, I have a tailoring school that I've operated also for the last 25 years. By academic background, I'm branding myself. Academically, I have a master's in entrepreneurship. I've never been employed in my life. I've never known how to work for somebody. It doesn't mean that I don't work. I work and I employ people. I thank God for the opportunity that I'm able to work and employ other people. So what are we saying? As an individual, you are the first seed in your business. As a person, you are the first seed. You are the first requirement for the success of that business. Work on yourself. Work on yourself. Is it knowledge that you need to do something? Go acquire the knowledge. Is it finances that you need? Look for a way of creating the finances. Is it technology that you need? Look for the technology required. Look for a way of getting what you need. Once you get it, plant it. When you have the seed, plant it. The seed will not grow if you don't plant. Don't just sit. Start. Start at your level. At your level. Start. Don't wait to get 400 shillings. Do you have 2 shillings? What can 2 shillings do? Start with it. If you are called to maybe outside catering, you can only make 1 packet of mandazis to sell. Don't wait till you get that big hotel in Hilton, then you can know you are in business. Get that 1 pack of unga, start selling mandazi to 1 or 2 people. As you make your profit and you are faithful, you will be able to grow from that point to the next level you want to be. Praise the Lord. So once you planted and there is growth, how do we know that whatever you are growing is bringing forth? We'll know them by their fruits. You have to see fruits from what you are doing. If you are not getting the right fruits, it means you are not doing the right thing. Go find out more. How can I do this thing better? I'm making yogurt, people are not buying my yogurt. What am I not doing right? Can I get somebody who is also doing yogurt? How are they doing theirs? How are they packaging their yogurt? As you learn, and whatever you learn, you put it into practice. Then you are towards the success area and you are going to prosper in whatever you do. Whatever you plant must bring forth fruits. If you don't like the fruits you are seeing, it means you are planting the wrong thing. So if you say, I'm working, I'm not making profit, are you doing it rightly? Do you have the right knowledge? If you are a tailor or a dressmaker, people are not coming to make clothes from you. Ask yourself why. The clients who've come to you, if they are not coming back, go to them, ask them, why are you not coming back? You did an outfit from me 2 or 3 months ago. You've never come back again. What did I do wrong? What went wrong? Let them tell you. As you hear their comment, improve on yourself. Improve on yourself. The more you improve on yourself, I believe in studying so much. That's why you are told, study to show yourself approved. Get new knowledge every time. As you get new knowledge, you are able to do whatever you are doing successfully. Don't stop at, there are no businesses today. Those people are doing business. What are they doing that you are not doing? Find out. Once you know it, do it. Don't know it and sit back. Know it and do it. As you do it, you're able to get the right fruits out of your business. It's very, very important. I want us to, those who have Bibles, to go to Genesis 12, 2-3. I'm going to read it. I will make a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. And I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you. This God was promising Abraham. And we believe, all of us, if you are born again, that we are the seeds of Abraham. If you are a seed of Abraham, we inherited the blessing through Abraham. God said, I will bless you. So we've all been called blessed. So if you are blessed, whatever you plant, you are going to get good seeds out of it. So whatever your hands find to do, do it. Even if it's sweeping. I remember how I started my career. I lost my parents quite early. I'm a firstborn of 8 siblings. So I used to buy mitumba, second-hand clothes, wash them, iron them, fold them nicely, package them in paper bags, and go to sell them to people who are working in the bank. You know, most second-hand clothes are designer clothes, and they are very good quality. But when you see them in the street, they look so cheap, they look tattered. If you're able to clean and package them nicely, you are able to sell to anyone because once they are clean, nobody knows. When you wear, people usually say, Soma, label. So nobody will know where this thing has come from. And they are going to buy. From that, I was able to get an income to be able to start business. I was able to start business and raise 8 siblings. 8 siblings who went to school, went to university, and finished. So it is possible from whatever. Don't neglect the small beginnings. Just at your level, ask the Holy Spirit, what can I do? Can I be able to scan my environment where I am? What is exposed to me where I am? Don't go search for things that are far there. Where you are, what can you do from there? And as you do it and you continue to do it and you become consistent at it, you are going to receive fruits from it. Because the more you sow, the more you are going to harvest from that. So, all I want to encourage us is don't neglect the gift you have with you. If it's communication, if you can talk so nicely, ask yourself, how can I use this gift of communication if it's singing? How can I use my gift of singing? If you have skill, you're a trained person in carpentry, masonry, whatever area you are trained in, ask yourself, how can I use my skill and exchange it for something valuable? Sometimes it's not necessarily money. You can just go to somebody and ask, Mommy, I want to come to be washing your clothes twice a week, so that you train me how to cook a kind of meal that maybe you don't know how to cook. You're exchanging a service for a service. Once you get the skill, you're able to use the skill to get money for yourself. So don't look so far. Look where you are. We find it so difficult because many of the times we want to look so far. Just look from where you are. As I am right now where I am, what do I have? What can I do? Start from there. And you'll be shocked and surprised how far you'll be able to go with that. May God bless you as I invite the other speaker to talk about marketing. How do you market the skill that you already have? If I'm selling soap, how do I make sure people buy my soap? If I'm selling clothes, how do I make sure people are buying my clothes? Welcome.
Thank you very much, Agatha. Good afternoon, everybody. It is a great honor for me to stand here as a daughter of this house to have this opportunity to share on marketing. I come under the wings of Deaconess Mary, and it is a great honor, so I thank you very much. We are going to talk about the role of marketing. I am a trainer by profession, and I know after my students have listened to quite a lot, at some point they can't hear, they have information overload. So I want to request if we can please all stand up just for a minute so we can stretch and just let our body know we are still awake, we are still going strong. Just for a few minutes, stretch. It's all ladies in here, so we can stretch the way we want. Well, I've seen a gentleman, but he's working. Thank you very much, ladies. Please have your seats. So I am going to follow up on what our entrepreneurs have said. 2 heavyweight entrepreneurs have come before me. Mine is to speak to the entrepreneurs in the house and the aspiring ones to say, now that you have been inspired to know who is an entrepreneur, how are you going to market yourself? No matter how good my ideas are, as long as they're in my house, they go nowhere. No matter how big my dreams are, as long as I don't step out and do something about them, they go nowhere. And I will be very brief because I think we have learned so much, and actually Agatha has touched on part of what I was going to say. The first product you're going to market is you. Isn't it? The first product you're going to market is you. Have you ever met somebody selling something, but just from how they interact with you, you're not interested? It doesn't matter if they talk to you for 10 hours about it, the benefits, the profits. Just by looking and sizing that person up, you're like, I don't want it. So the first person you have to sell is you. And can I tell you something interesting? I know we're in the church, but people don't see the inside. You know how you say, my heart is good, I'm beautiful on the inside? Huh? People look on the outside. And before they can be convinced to purchase from you, first they have to look at you on the outside. If the way you're packaged on the outside does not match what you're selling, people may not come. Isn't it? It's true. There's a time, there's been a lot of multi-level marketing that's happened in Kenya, and there's a time people were on the go for it. There are certain people who would stop you. The person is telling you how much money you're going to make after you put in this money, after 5 months or so, now you'll be making $1 million. But they are talking, but you're looking at the person talking to you. What they're telling you, when you look at them, does not look possible. Isn't it? It's like when people get conned. Somebody tells you, give me 100,000, just give me the 100,000, it will come back $1 million. Ask yourself, if it can come back $1 million, why does he need my 100,000? Isn't it? So people size you up, they look at you. And it's not very expensive to make yourself look presentable. As Agatha has said, you can buy, if you go, we are all at different levels. Life is in seasons. And depending on the season you're in, you can always find something that will match your budget to make you look presentable, right? There is somebody else who wants to market something to you. But when they open their mouth, you take a few steps back. At least now we have masks. So everyone is breathing their own air. But there's a time when it is me and you, close contact. You're talking, I'm stepping back. You're talking, I'm stepping back. Why? Because of personal hygiene. I know it sounds strange for me to say that, but it is a fact. If I don't brand myself, if I'm not clean, and I'm telling you about how I want to come and cater for you. I want to be a caterer. You have a wedding? Let me cater for you. Just by looking at me, you're imagining your wedding. This is the caterer. Talking to my important guests, you step back, isn't it? So we are the first product. My personal hygiene matters. Do I brush my teeth? Do I take care of my hair? Do I take care of my body? And as I've said, we're all in different seasons in life. There's always what you can do to invest in your first product, which is you. Knowledge, as we've been told. If I do not know what I'm selling, as I love the example we got in front, the market is not waiting for you to come. They're not saying, oh, come. There are people already there who are not ready to move, right? So if you're entering that market, then you have to be confident in what you're saying. So you're the first product. Now, the next. Thank you. Okay. So, thank you very much. So, I'm the first product. If I tell you I'm a trainer, you look at me and you're like, if I come here, my body posture is wrong, I'm looking down, you can barely hear me, I can't make eye contact with anybody, then you'll be worried, should I invite her to train for me, right? So we are the first product, and it's important to say that in the church, because sometimes this is where, and I can say it because I'm in the church, isn't it? Sometimes we're the ones who sometimes let ourselves think that the Lord will do everything as long as we have the faith. And it is true, the Lord moves, but I love what Bishop says, that faith that puts responsibility on God alone is not responsible faith. So I'm the first product. No matter how saved I am, I must have the right language, right? I must know the right timing. There's a time for everything. If I am here worshiping the Lord after service, the service is over, I'm still lost in, I've been moved. Then that's when you want to come and tell me, oh, Sister Carol, here. Honestly, do you think I'll buy? If anything, I'll be irritated because you have just interrupted my time with God. There's a time to also. So when I'm talking about you packaging yourself, it's also to know when you approach people to market your product. Now, The Bible tells us that seed time, the earth, Genesis chapter 8, verse 22, that while the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, winter and summer, day and night shall not cease. So the aspect I want to bring up on marketing is that you have to sow the seeds. Studio, we can hear you. I don't know if it's from the studio. We can hear you from this speaker. We're hearing everything. So be careful you don't share your secrets. Okay, thank you. So the reason I bring this up is because the role of marketing in business is what I'm here to talk about. And there is a period when you have to sow. They have said invest on yourself. I've already spoken about things that will take you money, that will cost you some money, isn't it? Packaging, how you dress, keeping yourself clean and smelling fresh, isn't it? Underarm deodorant, before you put perfume, isn't it? I mean, just more things like that. Because your body odor can also put somebody off. You're wondering why they're not opening doors for you. It's because they can't stand to be in the same space with you for too long in a closed environment. I can say it because we are all in the church, isn't it? Somebody needs to, first of all, enjoy being around you for them to listen to you. And it doesn't cost too much to take care. But I've said it's money. So you're sowing in yourself. Seed time. You're sowing, you're branding, you're outside, your knowledge, as we have been told, you're getting the information, right? And then you look around you. We are told that you're 5 people away from what you need. Nurturing those relationships takes time, right? So, seed time. You need to invest for some time before it comes back to you. When I say invest now in the concept of marketing, what do I mean? There are many platforms that we can be on to market ourselves. The first one, of course, is in person, the people who are around you. Don't keep quiet and you've gone to a family gathering and not tell them what you do. You hang out with friends, let them know. And don't use this thing of telling somebody, I really need to talk to you. So they think it's something personal, only to realize you're selling a product to them. No, tell them, there's something new I'm doing. I'd like to talk to you. Isn't it? That is one way. You may need to invest in a cup of tea for that person to come and sit with you and listen to you, right? So those are the people we meet. Don't keep quiet. Tell people about it. Tell them, I am doing this. If you hear somebody who needs an event planner, please call me. I'm really good at it. In fact, I've been planning events for my organization for this number of years. Don't keep quiet. Talk, speak, let people know. You must market yourself. You're the first person. If you don't believe in it, why should anybody else? So you're the first person who needs to market yourself. So then there are other platforms you can use. And before we go to the platform, you have to have identified where your product, why are you doing what you're doing? Who needs what you're selling? Who needs it? Isn't it? Because you have a product for who? There's a time, I remember quails. There's a time quails were hot in Kenya. I don't know how many people went into that business. Those who go in early, they make the money. Those of us who wait and see, then you get in, there's nothing left. So there's a time, before you jump even into something like that, who needs it? So where is your target market? Who is your target market? Who? For who are you developing this product? What is going to be different between the product you have and the one that's in the market? As we were shown earlier, you're not the only one, isn't it? The market has not been waiting, come. In fact, we are told that when God releases an idea, many people get, how you see somebody doing something, you're like, I had thought of that. I had thought of that. Yeah, you see, the ideas are released. Whoever is ready runs with it, isn't it? When opportunity matches preparedness. So, this idea you have, who is your target market? And what is the difference between what you're selling and what somebody else is selling? There is nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun. So what is different? So you have to differentiate your product. In differentiating your product, then you have to ask yourself, for my target market, my target audience, how much are they willing to pay for this? In the market today, I can get an orange for 10 bob. Okay, now they have gone up, but generally, I could get one for 10 shillings. I could also get one for 20 shillings and one for 30 shillings. They are all oranges. They all give me vitamin C. Now, I want to ask that question in two ways. Number one, which orange are you? And then number two, which orange are you selling? Let me first talk about the second part. Those three oranges have a market. Isn't it? The reason you're finding the Mama Mboga with her oranges there and where she brings them every day is because there's somebody like me who will come and buy it. The reason you're seeing she has on the other side, she has the nice orange one, the imported one, which is not better than our Kenyan ones, but you know that one, huh? The very nice, rich orange one. It's there as well. There's somebody else who will leave my 10 shilling one and come and buy the 30 shilling one. Why? Why do you think that happens? It's both of them are giving you vitamin C. Why have I left the 10 shilling one and gone to buy the 30 shilling one? Yes, ma'am? The levels. Levels, yes. Huh? There are two aspects of it. One is what my pocket can afford. The other one, I feel good when I buy an orange at 30 bob, imported rather, than just buying our local 10 bob market. Yes? There's also quality. Yes, true. But in this particular case, we are saying both are giving me vitamin C. So now, right there, you've seen two market segments. So you can have, in one business, marketing to different products because of the different segments. I have something for the high-end person who feels, for me, 30 bob, right? I need the special orange. But if I'm to sell to her this 30 bob orange, how I package it matters. Huh? I should not be, which may happen, I should not be wrapping it just in some, polythene paper. She should feel that her spending more has got some value. So even in your product, you have to add value to match the target market you're looking at. Then the 10 bob one, you still treat them with respect because you know very well, sometimes with the way things go, you might not have the 30 bob market and you need to sustain yourself. So again, know who you're selling the 10 bob market. So even there, we are talking about who your target, what your product is, match it to your target audience, and then where are you selling it, the place, yeah? Where are you going to sell it? If you go, for instance, there's some areas where if you go with that 30 shilling orange, nobody will touch it. In fact, they'll be offended. Can you imagine somebody coming to sell for us an orange at 30 bob and we buy it at 10 bob? Right? I do events on the side, and there are events you can do. The tent is 100,000, right? There's an event you will do, and the entire event is 100,000. Market again, isn't it? So you have to know where you're placing it. So that's the other thing, the placement of it. Who are you? Where are you going to sell it? Because you may place it somewhere where you think you're not doing well, but it's because you have placed it in the wrong place. And then your price has to be right for where you place it. So we are out of time. So as I wrap up, I want to say this. Right now, the platforms we have are not limited to in-person marketing. Especially now that COVID came, we all had to find a way to exist online. I was proud of my church because, when other churches were trying to figure out how to go on to go online, and it was a real struggle from some of the major mainstream churches, I was so relieved that for us, we already had that platform. But I want to ask you, when I come to your page, do you only have a Facebook page for Hallelujah, Praise the Lord, and liking people's picture, me and Bay for the young people? Is that all I find there? You should have that one, but you should also have one for your business. Right now, you cannot thrive and ignore the digital platforms. And there's some I will just mention in passing, because I'm sure you know most of them, that each platform has a target market, right? So for instance, Facebook is the one I've mentioned first. I'm liking your pictures, you're liking mine, hallelujah, praise the Lord, we like the message, but of course I've made no money in that, right? So I need a place where now I don't have to speak Christianese, quote unquote. I need a place where I tell you this dress is going for this much. I can speak Christianese without saying the words, isn't it? As I've been talking, there are some scriptures that have come out. I didn't have to quote, isn't it? But it's the principles we live by. So in the same way, you must have a if you're in business, a Facebook page would work. But a Facebook page also for depending on what you're selling. Agatha already, as she stood here, she sold. She told us she's a designer. You look at her, you see, we were, of course, sizing her up. If she would, this is how she looks, she can dress me like that, right? Facebook could work great for something like that as well, because she can put her designs there and sell them. A Facebook page for the business. Then there's Instagram as well. You know, we have, which is also quite good. You can sell your services there. There is YouTube for those of us who are either we're selling either information or music or that kind of a thing. YouTube is a good one as well. So after this, please do your research and find out which one works for what you're trying to sell. But please do not exist after COVID. We all know now, even if you've been in business for many years, please invest a little money in your digital platforms, because as you have seen, it might be the only way you're reaching your clients, right? And you don't that's when you're trying to go there. We have Google Ads, and this one is sometimes when you go on a search engine, there is what pops up first. You invest in that so that when people are looking for something in your area, they find you. So that's search engine marketing. We have email marketing. You'll be amazed that sometimes when you can use email to reach people. Of course, sometimes this needs to be people already on your database, because there's also nothing more annoying than just getting spam email. But from time to time, it may come at a time when you need something. So that's another good platform, online platform. There is Quora, Quora. There is LinkedIn, for those of you who are especially in the professional, your consultants, or you have services, even if it's services like your sound, you do sound or events, or but the lawyers, the doctors, you have your own clinic. LinkedIn is a good place for people to find you. Have a LinkedIn page also for your business. Of course, as you grow, isn't it? Remember we said we're in sizes. With each size, you will get a different platform that matches where you are. Okay, so and there are many, many others. So for you, look for which platform sells you best. Where do your people go, the people you're selling to? Where does your target market go? Right? Because there are some people, if I want to sell to my mother, if I put it on Facebook, it may never happen. I may need to now invest in going to visit chamas and that kind of a thing. So know where your target market goes. I am out of time, so I will end it there. Do your research and make sure that your product is properly placed and you promote it in the adequate platform. Thank you very much.
Let's give Carol I know we've sat for a long time, and I know we need to stretch. We'll take 5 minutes to have a health break and come back within 5 minutes. And in the meantime, give us your feedback. There's going to be a link. There's going to be a link from studio where you can send your feedback. It will be received by one of us so that we can know how to improve this program. Agatha told us that we need to review and see how best to package ourselves. So we want you to give us your feedback on the link that's going to be up there. It's there already. Just give us your feedback on that link, and then we'll get back to you. So now we have a 5-minute health break. You can stretch and come back within 5 minutes. And we'll have our next final presenter. We finished our presentations. We're going to have the Florence Odek with the soap making, and then we'll wind up. So just hold your questions to the end of the program. So 5-minute health break, and then we link up again.
Choir, for those of us who are not going out, you can do praise and worship. Choir, if there's nobody who's going out, you can do praise and worship as we wait for them.
We are saying thank you, Jesus, thank you, Jehovah.
That was somebody else who brought. The one who was doing yoga. She also does the same.